What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Fast Life Podcast, which is brought to you by Lexan Moto. You guys got to check them out. They're growing fast and looking to onboard new dealers this year. So whether you're a small independent shop or a big-ass mega store, Lexan Moto has a partnership that will work for you. They have a lot of pretty badass products currently on the market, and they got plenty more dropping this year. Lexan offers very competitive dealer margins, fast shipping, and great customer service. Email them at sales@lexanmotorcycle.com and be sure to check out their Facebook, which is Lexan Moto USA, and Instagram, which is at Lexan Moto. And one more thing not to forget, to use Fast Life at checkout for 15% off if you just want to get yourself some nice Lexan products. Check them out, guys. As I have said many times, Thunder Max is the upgrade ECM for your EFI-equipped Harley-Davidson. Whether you're getting a new exhaust, cams, throttle body, you name it, a Thunder Max tuner will dial in the necessary adjustments needed to keep your HD running cherry. Another advanced product from the T-Max camp is their iRide rear suspension system that auto-adjusts height and is the best of performance and comfort in an air ride scenario. To get more info on these products and see the other products available to enhance your HD experience, head on over to shoptmax.com and give them a follow on Instagram at ThunderMaxEFI. Now is the time to support small businesses, like my dude John Jessup in his shop in Stockton, California, which is the spot for in-house dyno tuning, parts, service, and bike sales. TeamDreamRides.com is a great place to dump some of that stimulus cash or take advantage of the 100 days same as cash financing on all products. All you need is a job and a bank account. And don't forget to give John and the team a follow at DreamRidesJohn on Instagram. Paint Huffer Metal Flake is killing the paint game with tons of great flakes, pearls, and other paint-related products. If you're stuck at home wanting to possibly pick up a trade or a hobby, check out painthuffer.com to see the vast amount of custom paint-related products and get yourself stocked up with tape and other items needed in the custom paint process. And don't forget to use FastLife13 at checkout to save yourself 10% off. And while you're at it, give them a follow on Instagram at painthuffermetalflake. Yeah. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. For those of you that are going to try to make this out, Fast Life Campout is Thursday, April 23rd to the 26th at Kriver Campground in Moyers, Oklahoma. I don't know how this is going to go down. We're going to try to make it work somehow. I don't know if there's going to be travel bans on people. I don't know. We'll figure. It's going to come down to the week of as far as a lot of things. But if you've been planning on coming, just still plan to come. I think the hardest part's going to be trying to get there. So anyway, this podcast is with my dude Daniel. He runs the Proper Baggers Instagram page. And we became some pretty good friends over the last year and a half or so. And like I've said in the previous podcast we did, I really enjoy his Instagram page. It's really brought a lot of different people that I've started to follow in the motorcycle industry and just regular customers and riders and people alike. And, of course, I'm a huge proponent for the performance bagger, more or less movement. I don't know what you want to call it. So, getting to talk with someone that shares the same passion for the same type of motorcycles is a fucking fun time. And here's almost 4 hours of us talking about all kinds of random shit. So, anyway, thank you guys for checking this out. If you want to support the podcast, you can go to our website, fastlifegarage.com. Patreon link on the front page. Go check it out if you're interested. If not, here's the podcast. So check it out. Here's Daniel from Proper Baggers.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast.
So much better this way.
Yeah, that way you're not like, you can see when I stop talking and I can see when you stop talking and we don't like stumble over each other as badly as we do on the phone. So
Yeah, that's a lot better. Yeah, if it was video, I would have had to go upstairs and put on a black t-shirt so I could fit in with biker and take my glasses off. How's it going, man?
Oh, that's good, man. How you doing?
3 weeks of quarantine. I'm good.
You like you're ready to pull your hair out? Is it
My wife cut my hair yesterday.
I saw that.
Yeah, you saw that? No, it's good. You know what? I was telling you today, so I had my kid like literally Friday the 13th. And then on Monday here or Tuesday, it was like state of emergency and they shut everything down. So I've spent the last 3 weeks with the new baby and it's been okay.
Yeah. How's it going up there? You're in Montreal?
Montreal.
Yeah. So how is that up there? Is it pretty insane?
It's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we'll
y'all are
talk about
close
it
to
a little
New York,
bit now
right?
and then we'll try not to have a whole COVID conversation here, but it's pretty bad. Everything is shut down. Everything is shut down. Essential service only. The cops are giving out tickets on the street. Somebody was telling me yesterday that a girl he knows, it was her birthday, so people were driving by the house. Yeah. The cops shut it down and gave her a $1,600 ticket.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it's no joke up here.
Yeah, it sucks, man. It's Montreal's pretty close in proximity to New York, though, so it's probably definitely.
Well, I think the problem was that our spring break starts end of February. It's like last week of February or first week of March. So everybody was away for spring break when, shit was getting bad. And Montreal, New York are very close. And there's a lot of snowbirds up here who go down to Florida and New York. So just like we have like 9,000 cases in Montreal now today.
That's crazy.
So it's pretty bad. I mean, it is what it is.
That's what they were saying about Louisiana with Mardi Gras happening, middle of February, basically, I think I can't remember the exact dates, but they're saying that's why it's one of the worst cases as well in Louisiana there. So I don't know, man. It's a mess.
Where you are, it's not so bad though.
Dude, it's normal as fuck here.
Really?
The only time it doesn't feel normal is like going to trying to eat somewhere. But up until today, actually, you could go to Walmart and Target and the big retailers, pack them in as much as you want. They weren't restricting anything. And now I guess in California they're enforcing if you go anywhere into a place, you have to have a mask on now. Like some kind of
Well, here they make you. They're limiting the people inside the store. So if you go groceries or Walmart, there's a lineup outside, and they let in. There's a certain amount of people per square foot.
Exactly.
Here. So, for the distancing. And
I think they were saying most of the super Walmarts, it's about 500 customers a piece or 500 people total a piece. I don't know what it is, but I went in there Friday because I was like gonna just stay home all weekend, not do anything, which I really haven't been doing anything anyway. Yeah. And I went to Walmart, and there's like fucking families walking around with their kids. Like there was no regards to like. At least if I'm going to go out, just let me do it by myself. That way there's only one person out there. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. That part is annoying,
Well, I think it depends on the city. I would guess that Montreal's a pretty big city in Canada.
Yeah.
And it's very heavily populated. Actually, the area that I live in Montreal is number 2 for most concentrated cases in Canada. And number 1 is literally... I live in a suburb in the city. Number 1 is right next to me. So number 1 and number 2, we're like the heaviest populated area of this case. And it's all houses. I don't know. But, I lock myself in my house. I have a buddy who's still kind of working. So if I need stuff, he'll pick it up and drop it off, especially with the new baby. We have to be really, really careful.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
it makes sense for you. In this situation, it makes sense for you to take all the extra precautions for the, just the newborn and whatnot. So,
that's it. So my business partner is kind of doing whatever he can at the shop, but the shop is closed. It's crazy.
Your actual business had a lot to do with the trade industry as far as doing trade shows and things like that. So how is that affecting?
We did trade show events. The F1 is in Montreal. We do a ton for the F1. We do retail stores. So retail events, trade show. Restaurants, bars, these are all my customers. Everybody shut down. Realistically, everybody shut down. So it'll have a big impact to my business. And, the government has a bunch of programs which we're going to try and take advantage of, and we're going to ride it out. And we laid off all our employees. Almost 50 people got laid off. I mean, it is what it is. And then when they lift the ban, we'll start hiring people back or bring them back. But it is what it is. Everybody's in the same boat.
Yeah. My wife, I guess they didn't make the term laid off, but I think they did in a sense so that she could actually take
temporary layoff.
Yeah, so that she could get
unemployment. I don't know what it's called.
Unemployment. Yeah. So basically, she could pick that up at least, and we haven't received anything yet. But I'm still working, but I don't have nobody comes here. Like I'm alone all day, and for the last week, I've actually been going home to eat, which is really hard for me because when I first got into shops, man, the thing was that we all went to lunch together every day, and it always ingrained me to where like that was you can lock yourself in a shop all day long, 12 hours, 14 hours, but that lunchtime when you get to go sit in a restaurant or a fucking, a fast food place and just see what the rest of the world is like all day long because you're stuck in a shop all day.
Yeah.
I really miss that part a lot. Like,
and you work alone, right? You're in the shop alone most of the time.
Yeah, I've had an apprentice about pretty much since it started. He started coming around mid-February, and he's actually been helpful, really helpful in this whole process. And so I have him here, and then occasionally one of my close friends will stop by. But I don't really have. I've never had walk-in customers. I don't even have a sign outside my shop that says like this is what it is. And I mean most of our customers still come through the mail, so we don't really deal with right here people. So. It's just been strange. It's a weird thing, man. It really is.
But you have a lot of work. You always have a ton of work.
Yeah, and believe it or not, man, like we've been getting some of the bikes that I'm doing right now are kind of in a weird spot because I'm still waiting on certain parts from certain companies. And it's not so much the company's fault. It's just that it slowed down a lot of transit and it slowed down a lot of urgency for people, which is understandable. Which is now affecting the deadlines that I had set for myself with the customers. And we've been kind of focusing more on the helmets and the smaller projects right now, just because they're easier to get done, get out, get paid, and keep money flowing into the shop. And but helmets, man, like I've actually picked up 4 or 5 new helmet jobs. Actually, one from London now is actually going to be the most expensive one we've ever done.
Wow.
And
That's good. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's so I'm super thankful, and at the same time, man, sitting in the shop sometimes alone and looking at this place after we've kind of done all this construction and just not knowing how far this is gonna go, like how much and how deep down the rabbit hole this is gonna take. And I mean, I could get to a point where I can't stay here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'd take probably like 5
Everybody
or 6.
Can.
Yeah, it'd take like 5 or 6 months, I think, to really put me in a spot where I wouldn't be able to afford to stay here anymore. But fortunately with helmets...
I think for our industry, well, for your industry and for the industry we're talking about, but like the thing is, motorcycle riding is like you're alone. You're doing it alone.
Yeah.
So people are still going to get like my biggest worry, besides work, obviously, and money, like my biggest thing is like I'm scared I'm gonna miss my riding season. Like it's starting almost now. Like it's still a bit cold to ride. It's probably like low 50s, high 40s. But I mean, in a month from now, it's my riding season.
Yeah.
And if we're still not out on the roads, like so here it's until May 4th. They added a month to it. So now until May 4th, nobody's leaving their houses. And I wouldn't be surprised if it pushes till June 1st.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't. And then people slowly started getting out, but you could ride a bike.
Yeah.
Trust me, the first thing I'm going to do, any spare time I have, if I'm not working, I'm just going to be on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Because I can ride and I'm not near anyone and nobody can harass me. When you get off the bike, like the social distancing thing is going to last. You're going to see that last for 6 months where people can't gather and events and everything is closed. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a big kind of change in everybody's lives. Like that's gonna be a big change in the populations, like that kind of stuff. Like maybe you're not in it as much as I am, but like the idea of going to a stadium or an event or F1 or anything, it's so foreign to me right now. Looking at this, like I take a walk around my neighborhood and everybody's crossing the street when they see each other. Yeah. You walk in the middle of the road, there's no cars on the road, and I live in 4 million people in my city. Yeah.
It's got to be a weird feeling too, because everybody likes to say, they're the cool guy on Facebook, right? Like I'm a loner, I don't like people. And then when you get this real separation between people, you start to realize like, fuck, I think I did like people. I think I did like having a friend to see every once in a while and shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I miss. I miss my buddies. I miss hanging out with my buddies. I miss, my employees at work, the people I work with. You miss the daily stuff. I miss my drive to work and getting coffee. Like walking into a store, like it's no big deal, and getting a coffee. Now, every time you go in a store, you're worried. You're hesitant.
Yeah. I agree. I'm a little worried. Honestly, I didn't get worried. Like when I went to Walmart on Friday was the most cautious I've been so far. Like I haven't really been going out much. Like me and my wife went camping, but it was me and her and by ourselves. You know what I mean? But yeah, it felt weird. It just felt like people were like.
It's like the movies. It's like fucking the movies where you're going out and you're worried about the zombies coming up the street. Yeah. It's literally the same feeling. Like you're keeping yourself separated from, like my wife, because of the newborn baby and she's breastfeeding. She hasn't made contact with anybody since the day she gave birth. Like if we go anywhere, she sits in the car, and like she's okay with it. She's getting used to it. But like I'm coming into contact with some people, but like I'm wearing gloves. I'm standing 10 feet away from it. It's kind of, I don't know. It's trippy. It's weird. It is what it is.
Yeah, I guess what I was trying to say is the weird part about it is you feel like everybody feels like everybody else has it, right? Yeah. So like when people are walking by you, like they used to just judge me because I had tattoos and things like that. Now I feel like you piece of shit COVID-19 carrying motherfucker. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But that's true. You walk by them, and if you look, they look down and they look the other. I do it. Yeah. Hold your breath. I hold my breath every time I walk by somebody on the street.
Yeah, it's fucking mess, man. But
like you think of the days where you used to go to bars and meet a chick and hook up with a chick. It's like that's fucking crazy. I wouldn't even shake somebody's hand now.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Life is. So what's up with your campout? 2-3 weeks away, no?
Yeah. I'm torn because I've if things are probably, you know, I'm really just letting things be whatever they're going to be. So, the camp out, even at like high, like without this shit taking place and perfect weather in position, we only expected maybe 100 to 150 people tops. And if it's in this current state where, you know, here in the in where we're at, it's not as really bad. We might just let it take place and let everybody do their own thing. But the things that I talked about with Adam Sandoval at it was things that would help keep people away from each other as far as we would be in the same area. And yeah, you could still transfer it, I guess. But the main thing is like, you know, we wouldn't do like a community thing of beer where everybody's reaching in the same cooler, things like that. We would probably sell different stuff. But at the same time, I'm not going to say yes or no until the week of based on the current climate of what's going on and hope that people, you know, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say no and I don't want to say yes. You know,
but you're in a tough spot.
Yeah.
Like people don't want to cancel events. That's a big thing.
Yeah, because they're going to hate me if I do and hate me if I don't. Seriously.
Yeah. 100. You're really in that spot because you're really damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, because there's the guys who don't give a fuck and say fuck it. Like if I didn't have a newborn, like I'm healthy, my wife's healthy, you know, I eat well, I exercise. I'd almost feel like I'd rather get it and just get it over with and be done with it.
Exactly.
You know, but then, you know, there's that, but then there's the people like, if you have this thing and fucking, I'm not even going to say it, but like something could happen. Like then you're an asshole too. Like you're in a tough spot.
Yeah. So like I said, I mean, you know, if it's looking promising, I would just, you know, my main thing of putting it out there would just ask that people, if they don't feel great, if they do feel under the weather, or if they have people at home that could wreck them, then maybe not make the trip. You know, if you live with elderly, if you have newborns, you know, those kind of things, maybe, you know, don't come to this
if
thing.
You have the sniffles, if you have a cold, if you like any, like you should almost put out like a post of the checklist. Like if you have any of these, don't come. Yeah. You know, don't ruin it for everybody else.
And, you know, like, I don't know, man. Like I said, it is one of those spots. Like I'm really just trying to, you know, if it did get canceled for sure, then I would immediately reschedule it so that like
of course.
That week it would be like, look, all right, so we're doing this in anticipation that this is over by this time, and then bam, this is the new date. You know what I mean? But you know, I'm pretty much having to cancel my New York trip, which I was going to do for Laconia and everything, because I don't think that area is going to be back to normal this year. With as much
and Laconia put out a post, I don't know if you saw it, said they're going to make their decision April 28th or something. And it's not the rally that's the problem, it's everybody coming from everywhere that's the problem. Like, and even if they do the rally, I probably won't go. We're just gonna have my buddies and I. We're just planning a big ride. And we'll just, instead of Laconia, which is shitty because this would be my 9th year at Laconia in a row. Like, it'd be really shitty to miss. Like, really, my boys' trip every year. That I look forward to it from the day I leave Laconia. I'm looking forward to the next year.
Yeah.
And and there was going to be so many guys coming down this year. Like, everybody was coming. And then Daytona got cut before the end of it. It got canceled, right? Arizona got canceled. Laconia's going to get canceled. I'm curious to know what's going to happen with Sturgis.
Yeah, and it's really weird with Sturgis being the 80th. I was listening to the Speed Kings podcast that he just put out today, and he was talking about that a little bit. And I am kind of worried. I don't know, because we have a big trip planned for Sturgis and like leaving Sturgis and going out further west. The thing is, like, rally or not, like, I'll still do some cross country rides. So like if New York gets canceled, I might just ride to California for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? And just go do some podcasts. Yeah. It's like you go to Cali, but you can't go to the one spot where everybody's at. But
where you want to go.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like I said,
I spoke to Kevin yesterday, and I'm like, how's it affecting you? He's like, it's not affecting me for shit. He's like, I'm getting orders. We're busy. The shop's busy. I'm selling, front ends. And then a lot of people that I speak to they're not feeling it. Curtis, he said he's still busy. I think a lot of people, because they're not working, like,
maybe
a lot of bike.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, a lot of, like, the guys that I know who ride there, just, most of them aren't, like, office guys. Most of them are a little more blue collar, which are essential workers, which are guys who are working, no matter what.
Yeah.
And so they still have money, and people are bored now. So now people are kind of spending it. There's the people like me who are scared to spend a penny, who normally spend so much money. I don't spend $1 now. I'm the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And then there's the people who are like, oh, fuck it, the world's ending. Let's fucking do it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of in a weird boat too, where like getting money in. Like, I have a spending problem. I suck at saving money. And I'm like, as soon as I get a check in for $1,000, I'm like, okay, bills are paid. What do I need right now? I need to get rid of this money real quick before it disappears, Yeah. And but yeah, you hit the nail on the head, because I do believe that a lot of our culture, the industry, not even that, just the people that make up a lot of what we ride are blue collar workers. So they or they're business owners, to where it's not affecting them. You know what I mean? But, or they're smart with money. I don't fucking know. Or they just got their tax return.
I don't think any of us are smart with money with what we do to these bikes.
Exactly. If we were, we'd be doing some other shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we'd be buying BMWs and KTMs and stuff, and turnkey for 2/3 the price with so much more.
All coronavirus aside, like, how do you feel about like this whole thing? Since we've talked plenty of times since we did this last podcast, but I'm pretty proud to say that I feel like the performance bagger thing is really starting. I wouldn't say starting. It's made an impact. Yeah.
There was an article that somebody sent me like a week or two. Like, Harley's big thing now is performance baggers, right? So it's like the I hate to say a trend, but it is a trend.
Yeah.
But the trend has really gone mainstream to where your average, even 50-year-old rider is going to get a bike, but okay, now he's going to do suspension, but he's not going to do air suspension. He's going to do real suspension in it, and real brakes. And like, you see that at the dealers. The dealers are putting, big motors and big brake kits and suspension kits on these bikes right away.
Yeah.
That they never saw that before. It was always cosmetic. And now it's performance stuff. And Harley is doing it the way they think they can do it. Like those when you get rid of your floorboards and you get the pegs from Harley, the factory pegs instead of the floorboards.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because like, why would you want forward pegs?
Exactly.
But
it's there.
But I mean,
like,
that just
they're just trying to throw a little bit of something at it to make you feel like you're getting that look or whatever. But
it's definitely made it.
Yeah. I don't know if the mid control thing is going to be a huge takeoff for the bagger world, because too many people ride. Like, I love mine, and I just love it, period. But I'm also like the perfect height for it, or whatever the case may be, whatever the attributes are. I feel like I love it. But for someone that's jumping on a bagger, like, it's going to be a lot to get them to take away those floorboards, because they're so fucking comfortable. You know what I mean? And you can still ride aggressive with them, but you can definitely, the mid controls make it more
100%.
Yeah, you can just do more with them.
my boards, I have the flow boards, and
Yeah.
my feet are just always like, if the board is here, my foot is there. Like I'm always just on the back of that board because it makes
Exactly.
all the difference in the world.
It does. Yeah.
So I don't know how the mids, but I mean, look, a year ago when we spoke, it was like February,
Yeah.
and it was still really early on in the trend. It seemed like it, and now it's like it just exploded.
Yeah. And I think that, like with Curtis doing the bike for the drag thing and then drag getting on board, which I know there's a lot of uncertainty about the Sly Fox stuff, but it's still, it's like drag has accepted it. Now it's going pushed more into the mainstream. And, it's interesting, man, because I think that we're in the group chat, and I think I've heard you make this comment before, but it's so annoying when people are building bikes that are not performance baggers, but they're like hashtagging performance baggers and all this shit.
It drives me nuts.
And it's like I've caught some of my friends in the other, in the big wheel industry or whatever, saying like, we're building a performance bagger, and this dude was like, I don't want to name his name because I don't want people to talk shit to him, but it's like it was this he's doing a lot of like fabricating stuff to it, really cool shit, but it's gonna be a fat 23 tire. Right, which is even heavier than a 26 tire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just because and that's why like that's kind of been the talk since day one is like what classifies a bike to be a performance bagger, and it's never really. I mean, I think amongst us friends we've all kind of agreed on what it is, but it just does get annoying when. Like, I don't want to be at a gas station and some dude comes up to me and goes, man, that's a nice performance bagger. You should see mine. And he pulls out a big wheel bagger with some fucking brakes on it and some ape hangers and shit. Like, dude, like, you're not getting it.
Yeah, but that's like the rule should be it's a performance bagger. If every mod you do to it makes the bike better.
Yeah.
So as soon as you do a mod that makes it worse,
Yeah.
like a fat tire, well, no, it's not a performance bagger because even if you built, look, there's fat tire. Guys have built bikes with fat tire carbon wheels on them.
Yeah.
Have you seen those?
Yeah.
The BSC. So they did all performance stuff, but then they put a fat BST on the front. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, look, I run a 21 on the front of my bike. I don't run the 19.
I'm running a 21,
I'm
the new one. I'm going 21 on mine as well.
Okay. Yeah, so like I do like when we used to be big wheel guys. I do like the look of a big wheel. It just suits the bike better. It fills it up better. But like, so you can have some things that are just for looks. I get it, but the general build needs to be to make it ride better.
Exactly.
And that's an important thing. It's when I was in SEMA when I saw you last. I was on the train with Curtis and Kyle and all the guys, and we were going from SEMA back to the hotel. And a guy, I think Kyle was wearing a Proper Baggers t-shirt, but the guy looked at me and he recognized me. He's like, "You're the Proper Baggers guy." I'm like, I was in Vegas. So I was like shocked that he recognized me. I'm like, "Yeah, I am." He's like, "No, wait, I got a performance bagger." I'm like, "Cool, let me see it." And he showed me. It was like a King with 16-inch apes or something like that. And Kyle leans over my shoulders and goes, "That's not a performance bagger," and laughs at the guy. I'm like, "Kyle, you just cost me a follower." But yeah, everybody thinks they have like performance baggers, and it's like because they got a pipe or something. But as long as you stick to that rule,
I guess the gray area is when you get into the whole people that are doing the drag racing on the baggers.
Yeah.
It's like it's really hard to say that's one that's not performance because they are putting suspension or they are putting a motor, but it's like that's why there's such a fucked up deal here. It's so screwed up.
But the drag race stuff, I mean, they're building almost the same bikes.
Yeah.
They're stretching them out. Like, they're not handling the same, but I mean, look, it's like if a guy builds a car that's a drift car or a drag car or like a road course car, they're all still kind of race performance cars. It's just kind of different realms of it, I guess. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, that's where it gets weird because, like when, let's say HPI, when they did their last bike, right? It's low. Mm-hmm. It's more for hitting that quarter mile look. But, a part of me would love to say it's a performance bagger still,
My wife just passed me a note. Can you see this note? Can you read that?
He shit everywhere. The wall's covered in poop. Nice.
The baby just shit on the wall. Nice. Sorry about that.
Nice.
So how do you feel about this the race, the drag race?
I don't care.
You don't care?
I'm gonna piss a lot of people off with this statement, but I've been in the industry for a long time, I guess. I don't know, compared to some or whatever. I've just been here for a while, right?
Yeah.
I've been a part of the drag race scene. I've been a part of.
Oh, sorry. I mean the drag specialties race.
Okay.
The bagger race.
You just say.
But finish your thing on the drag race. Yeah.
Yeah, you still want me to eat my words? No, I just that the thing is that there's a lot of people in those industries, but they're all driven off of sponsorships, stunt riders and drag racers, and so for someone that's trying to make money painting bikes, doing helmets, doing anything, selling parts, it's really hard to sell stuff to drag racers and stunt riders. Because most of them are looking for the sponsorship deals. It's really hard, and the industry in general, man, like it's it's crazy.
But that's not your customer. Those aren't the guys you want. Industry guys aren't your customer. You want the guy who's wants the cool helmet, the guy who wants the.
I mean, I want to do the paint jobs for people in the industry. Like I want to do a Curtis paint job for one day. I want to do those type, but I also want. You basically when you get to a certain point, you have to start looking at your time as, okay, well, I can take on a lot of work, or I can start looking at higher end projects to really shine, my abilities at right now where I feel like I'm at maybe a peak of my talents in industry. I have a lot of eyes on our work right now, paint wise, and I would love to be doing it on bikes for shops that are doing cool shit. You know what I mean? Or doing helmets for people that are people that I want to do helmets for or whatever. But.
But I mean, you've really established yourself as like maybe in the performance bagger community, or even the performance Harley community as like it's fast hype Jace. Like you've established yourself in the industry, like in this realm of industry, and like you're part of like if a guy wants a real performance bagger, he should buy your helmet. He should reach out to you and get a helmet.
I'm part of the kit, man. I'm part of the
it's like Curtis's fender and your helmet. These days it's an HPI pipe and my sticker on your bike, but like Saddleman seat. But like
you're not official really till you get a repost from Proper Baggers, man.
Yeah. That's what you were late for this call, so I literally was sitting here making posts, like my second full-time job.
Exactly. So what do you mean about the drag specialties deal?
The drag specialties that like the race they have with all the guys in drag, the bagger race.
I didn't know anything about it.
I'm not talking about it so much on the group chat. They want a Rusty to race. So drag specialties in July is doing like what is the superbike race called? What's the series called? I can't remember, but they teamed up with
race, like cornering.
Yeah, like a real race on a track. So the guys who do Superbike teamed up with drag specialties, and they're doing a course, like a road course.
Yeah.
Of 4 baggers to race. Okay. Like sport bike style.
That's cool.
So, yeah, the thing is, it's caused all kinds of like drama, I guess, around it because it's only a drag specialties thing. So like, it's not really like. If you were being true to the, like, I guess what people say, like the industry or this and that, you would reach out to the people who say, okay, these are the key guys in the industry.
Yeah.
And say, who would you like to see? Like, we can't, in our group chat, we're like, we want Rusty to go do it. Mm-hmm. Like, just go out, take the meanest bike and just go for it. But you can't nominate somebody. No, you have to be in drag. You have to be this. Drag invited all the people. But I mean, like a lot of people are hating on it, but I think it's for promotional reason. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I get that.
It's cool to bring more people into the fold with that stuff. But, on that note where like all these little small cliques that make up the industry, I think that that like our social media groups that have been forming and I don't know how many different group chats you're in, but I'm in a couple, so it gets hard to keep up with conversations all the time. But, I wholeheartedly feel like in some distant future, like I think that enough of us doing things and making our own kind of world is going to be big enough to do whatever the fuck we want to do and not need to be a hamster or a drag dealer or, the thing that I don't like about it and the thing that doesn't get me very far with people in the industry is that I'm not an ass kisser. You know, I'm not going to go paint some dude's bike for free because he's a hamster, which I respect all these guys and all that shit they've done, but I respect it. And I want to be respected for the work that I'm doing. I just don't want to kiss anybody's ass. You know what I mean? That's why I never, I just don't want to do it. I want to be respected, and then I want to complain about not being respected like a regular dude.
Yeah. You want to be a biker. You're like, you're going to do your work. You want to get paid for it. You don't want to give anything out for free. I don't blame you, but you're an artist too. You're not selling, you're not making this and selling it 1,000 times. So it's different for what you do.
And I've been, the last couple of months, man, I've been really wanting to step into other fields and start to provide more things and sell parts and stuff like that. But man, I'm busy. I'm already busy as fuck as it is, trying to keep up with podcasts, keep up with, not only doing podcasts. I think put it like this. I would feel like a fake if I got on this podcast and talked to people about riding all the time and doing all this cool shit and I never did it. You know what I mean? So like, as much as I want to do this, I have to do some kind of trip this year so that my audience knows that I'm about this shit. You know what I mean?
I think that's why I have a good following and people followed me, is because like, I say it all the time, I'm nobody. I really am nobody. But like, if you follow me, you know that I have this bike and I do the trips and I ride as much as I can and I'm passionate about it. And I think it shows, like, that's it. If you're in the industry, when you meet somebody but they're riding and they're actually there and they're being part of it, and they're, when we're hanging out, and we were in the Sturgis, we didn't want to hang out at the shows. We wanted to go ride. Yeah. Everybody was the same thing. You hang out at night, you hang out when you stop, but the whole point is you want to be out there and riding. And I feel that way very strongly, about everything is like, so I think that's why people followed me, because they believe that I ride and that I care about this, scene and movement, and I get messages from guys, like a guy messaged me yesterday, just not like, he didn't want to say anything. He's like, hey, I just want to say I appreciate what you do for the community. Yeah. And I'm like, it meant so much just sending me a message like that.
I've followed so many different people or met people through just the page. And I was doing that before the last time we talked. So that's, I wholeheartedly believe that like repost page, or I feel like sometimes they start off as repost page, but then they evolve into something else, which could be, I would say that like yours has become just the information for the performance, like almost like a magazine for the most part.
Like a magazine, modern day magazine. Yeah, it's what we are.
Exactly. So you're getting information. I mean, you're posting about parts. You're doing things like you went to LA and saw shops and did. You know what I mean? Like that's what magazine editors do. You know what I mean? And so it's now the hard part is, how do you make $1 off of it? That's the
I gave up on trying to make money on it. Like let Jeff Holt try and figure out how to make money off this stuff. Like, I respect what he does and the amount of energy. Like it's not going to make me enough money that it's worth pursuing it. I've thought so many times, like, how can I make money? I do t-shirt sales. T-shirt sales make me a little bit of money, but nothing crazy. And I have a couple of paid sponsors which help me out, but I mean, it's nothing in relation to the amount of work I put into the page, but I do it because I love it. I do it because I love the bike. I'm going to be on the net. I'm going to be on Instagram looking at these bikes no matter what. Yeah, exactly. So when I see something cool, I post it. Okay. Sometimes I sit here and I scratch my ass. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to post? Because I don't, but these days there's so much content and there's new bikes popping up all the time. Yeah. Like, I'm amazed. Like, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And there's new bikes and new shops, and big wheel shops are doing this, and like every shop is getting, you mentioned Speed King. So Steve, he just picked up a bagger, and he's a diehard Dyna guy, and he's building a performance bagger, and it's his first bagger ever, and he's super excited about it. Like, everybody's kind of coming around, and I truly believe once you get on these bikes, especially an M8, a new one, the comfort, the fairing, the wind protection, it's like it changes your view of riding. It's going to be really hard to go back to a smaller bike after that.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those deals that you'll never be able to have. Basically, to go to another small bike, it has to be bike number 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For sure. So, like, I'm a diehard FXR fan. I love them. Like, my gold FXR is me. Like, that is like what defines me, and I love that bike, but I don't think that I could do all the stuff that I do with this podcast and the traveling I've done to do this podcast if I didn't have the M8, bagger that I have now. Like this week, today I posted a picture of kind of when I went to do the podcast last year with Big Bear, and I actually went by Steve King's the same day, but it didn't work out to do the podcast. But we went out there. I rode out there in February to do this thing, and it's one of those deals. Like, so what I was trying to get at is like this week, I'm trying to post like a short story to a ride that I've done at some point in time to kind of get people like involved with like, hey man, like just get out and start riding these things. You know what I mean? Like I honestly feel like
would be what you were gonna try and do. Vlogging, you were gonna start that.
Man. I suck at it, dude.
Yeah, that was my trip to Sturgis. I went out and I got a GoPro. I'm gonna record the trip down. I'm seeing everybody down there. And do shit. I took 2 videos.
I love taking photos though. I love that. I love being the guy to go get shots. But so I just spent so much money the last fucking 5-6 months on all this shit to do cool stuff, and then Steve whips out his fucking phone and does really cool videos. Like I like Steve's videos, Chamberlain's, and I'm sitting here looking at all this high tech equipment I done bought to do some pretty professional shit, and this dude just whips it out and goes, "What's up, guys? It's Steve 5150 whatever his channel's name." Yeah,
and he's alone in the shop, Rock Cycle, whatever his buddy's name's shop, and he's just alone holding his phone, and his videos are great and they're funny
and they're interesting,
and I watch them.
Yeah. I overthink everything, and every time I start wanting to get into doing a video, I take the fun out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I totally know what you mean.
It's almost like
because you want to be entertaining, and that's the stress of it.
Yeah. Like you want to, like I end up being fake, man. I was trying to talk to this about, the last podcast I did with Adam Sandoval. I was like, look, man, like, not saying anything bad, but like it's when you're trying to do those YouTube videos, the audience on YouTube is kind of, they're kind of cunty, if you will. Like in
general, everybody's cunty. They're always trying to point out the bad. Yeah.
It's like, I posted a podcast, like it wasn't even long, it was like an hour and 30 minutes, but I want to say it's got to be one of Adam Sandoval's followers that came over to mine. And our podcasts that we put out are usually an hour and a half to 4 hours long. Some dude hit me on an hour and 45 minutes, and he just like, I just released it 15 minutes ago. He just said, too long. Like, what the,
dick.
Dude, like what do I,
how do I spent all this time and energy doing this, and you who are nobody, your comment too long. It's like, fuck off. But you can't win. If it was too short, they'd say it was too short.
Exactly. So, like I honestly do feel that like I get to be in places that if I had a way to put it on video, that it would be very entertaining. But I don't know if I'm the guy to get that video. You know what I mean? And
you need a whole crew. Well, Curtis had Netflix did a show there, eh? Did you see that?
I don't know what that's about. Like maybe more about it.
He was Netflix is trying to do a pilot. He was saying, maybe I shouldn't be saying it, but he posted on his social media, so I'm sure it's cool. So, like Netflix is trying to do some bike pilot about industry and this and that, and they were at his shop recording. Yeah. And he doesn't know if it's going to make it TV. He doesn't know if he's going to make the cut, but they were there recording industry guys.
That's cool.
So that could be cool. Yeah, I mean, whatever brings it to mainstream is better for everybody in the industry.
Yeah, and we always need that stuff because just like your page brings awareness to certain types of bikes and trends to people that are already riding bikes for a lot of it, but like the TV show stuff brings motorcycling to people that don't really know anything about it or have an in. You know what I mean?
And there's nothing like I don't have any TV. I have Prime and I have Netflix. That's it. So like most of us do now. And I was trying to look for like cool bike shows or car shows to watch. There isn't shit on there. I can't find stuff on YouTube, but even that, like, I can tell you for the performance Harley scene, there's Dyna stuff, but the bagger stuff, there's nothing to watch on YouTube or anywhere. Like, there is no cool shows or stories or bike shows or all that shit's kind of like, I don't know. I miss those shows. Like, they were so good to watch, and there's literally nothing now.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I'm a proponent for the riding and the getting out because I feel like that's the of all the things that you could want to do motorcycling, that is the cheapest and easiest thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Wheelies are hard, or
Yeah.
it's hard for some people, and it's very costly. Building custom bikes is very expensive. Racing bikes is expensive. There's a lot of things that can be very expensive and taxing, but jumping on your bike and riding a couple states over and grabbing a campsite or a hotel room with your buddies, that shit is easy.
Do you think a lot of guys in our scene are riding?
No, absolutely not.
No. Yeah.
No, I think
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a tough one because I don't want to judge anybody, right? Like I want to bully you. You know, I want to be like, yo, bro, like stop being a little queer.
You're a biker. That's what you do.
But at the same time, like I get it that not everybody can do it. Not everybody can, like my business could probably be a big, tent set up at Sturgis selling parts, doing all kinds of shit, but I want to ride.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to me, the sacrifice to make, a couple grand there versus riding there in this experience and gaining all this knowledge of these parts that I'm riding that I'm supposed to be, you know what I mean? Like that's what's hard for me. Like, how am I going to tell you that this part is great if I just drove my Sprinter van here and set up a tent and I'm trying to sell you this suspension that I've got 50 miles on? How the fuck are you going to tell me about that?
But you're the exception to the norm. Like if you started selling parts, that might become your world.
It would, but I mean, I agree. I would love to sell parts and like do that stuff, but I don't want to be, I don't know. I don't want, to me, I look at it like, okay, is the risk, or not the risk, but is the time that I'm going to have to spend doing that worth losing the
juice
ability?
Worth the squeeze.
Exactly. Am I going to not be able to ride and do things? And if that's the case, then like, if I'm not, I'm so passionate about performance baggers and FXRs and all the bikes I own because I'm riding them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. And you've ridden other bikes before. You have something to compare it to.
Yeah.
And that's why, I guess that's why also I love these bikes so much, because I've ridden like a big wheel and I've had bobbers, I've had a hardtail, like I've ridden all these bikes. Like you said, you're an FXR guy. If you ask me what I am, put me on my hardtail Springer. That's I don't think I look meaner on anything else than I looked on my hardtail Springer.
Yeah.
But I didn't ride it. Like, I never rode it. I probably had 2 tanks of gas in it the whole time I had it in 2 years.
Yeah. For all of us guys in the circle that I guess we're all in, when is George getting the fucking bagger?
Oh, he's not.
Softail George.
First of all, George he's my savior with this whole thing because he's still working and he's going out. But I tried so hard to get it. He really wants a King. I tried, but we just put T-bars on his Softail.
There we go.
Sat him in the seat. He got the little San Diego Customs pouch to put on the T-bars.
So it's technically a bagger.
We're slowly converting. He doesn't want to spend the money. Yeah. At the end of the day, he doesn't. And George he's like a big Greek guy. He's like a handsome guy. He wants to look cool on his Harley.
You need to get him some Pumas. He needs some Pumas and a what's the Eurotrash bike? V-Rod. There you go.
No, he can't. I have another buddy who rides a V-Rod. Don't even get me started on it. He can't ride it for more than 45 minutes.
Exactly.
He wants to get off it. But yeah, no. One day, I don't know. He says his next bike. He should have, when he got his Softail, because it's an M8 Softail. He wanted the King, but he didn't want to spend the extra money. That's what it came down to. He still had child support and stuff like that happening. So he, baby steps. But
well, those new Softails are great too, though, man. Like I
love it.
I'll be honest with you. Like, I don't know if I'm like getting to a point where I just want another bike now. You know what I mean? But I've been on a spot where I've been looking at doing like another Softail, maybe like the newer M8 Softails, and like going that, Lowrider S route, kind of doing some stuff to it. But
I love it. Like, I came close to pulling the trigger, and I really did my research. I think I would probably go with a Fat Bob, looking at the different bikes, because you can get one for so much cheaper than you get a Lowrider S, and considering the amount of shit I would probably do to it, I may not be any further ahead.
Yeah.
And I think they're really nice. They're small bikes. I'm a small guy. That might be good for me. Like, my bike was for sale. If it's sold, would I get a Softail? Maybe. I mean, my followers might not be happy with it, so I wouldn't put it up on the page. But, they're cool bikes.
I think that Fat Bob, like when you take those factory wheels off and you put like the bagger wheels on it,
Yeah.
fucking amazing
Sick.
looking. It's so
Sick.
sick.
And the
1918
headlight.
front up, yeah. I'm painting one right now for a close friend of mine, and he's got a Memphis Shades fairing that fits that light that looks pretty good. I mean, for the situation, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that it like solves the problem with the headlight, but it definitely looks. It's the best one I've seen on there.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's because you can get them here. I think the price difference between a used Fat Bob or a new Lowrider S is like $10,000, and I can take that 10,000, put it into the Fat Bob, and do every part I want. And I could change the wheels and the headlight and all that kind of stuff. And I would still, the inverted Harley front end is shit.
yeah,
You still got to do either a real front end or, the drop-ins that they make.
Yeah.
So
it's one.
We rented, I was in LA a month ago or so, maybe 2 months ago. And I was with Kyle and Monty and George. And we all rented lowriders. And we rode LA. And we did Mulholland and we did Big Bear and everything. And we had the stock lowrider non-S. It's a bit of a dog. I felt like I was riding a scooter.
Yeah.
Like all I needed was better bars and a pipe, at least so I could hear it.
Yeah.
But it's like, it was a pretty decent bike, and it's small. I feel like getting off our bikes and going on that, you feel like you could throw it around a little more. Would I want to ride it on a trip? No, I don't think so. But I mean, if you get one, you put on a little fairing, you put on little bags.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Make it a little bit more comfortable. Yeah. Well, I've always said that there's a different experience riding, long miles on different types of bikes. Like you can ride the same road a million times with 5 different bikes and have 5 different experiences.
Yeah.
Kind of too many numbers in that one, but you know what I mean? It's like I said, I've ridden to California on a Dyna, FXR, big wheel bagger, and a performance bagger twice. So it's like each one of them had a great time on each one, but they all came with a different experience and a different vibe riding it. So, you know what I mean?
I mean, we could probably agree that the bikes we're on now definitely ride and handle and perform, maybe not like better than anything we've been on before.
Yeah, for sure.
But they've been set up for it too.
Exactly. So that's kind of the argument. So the last podcast I put out with this young builder, Kyle Ray Rice, we were kind of talking about this a little bit, but there's a lot of guys from the big wheel bagger world that aren't ready to let go. You know what I mean? And they're starting to get more vocal and making memes and talking shit in chat rooms, which I never post on anybody's chat rooms on Facebook. I'll troll them. Like I'll look at it and watch it, but I'm not getting involved. Right.
Yeah.
And people, because Cruzy made that video a couple months back, just talking shit, and that went through.
It was a great video.
It went through every hog chapter fucking thing out there, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of shops that are just kind of like not on they don't want to see it change because they can't see it. Like they can't see, like looking at a big wheel bagger and then looking at a performance bagger, they can't see the custom, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hold on. Something happened here that's weird. You there?
Yeah.
It's switched off my headphones. Okay, it'll turn on again. There.
Good? All right.
Yeah, it's so sorry. You were saying?
So there's a lot of shops that just, I don't think that they can tell the difference. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think they can tell. They can't see the custom and performance baggers. So they see a big wheel. They see all the shit, the wheels, the bags, all the different things you do, right? And now they're just struggling to kind of see how to customize these bikes. I don't really know why, but it just seems like they're kind of they're ready to start hating, I guess.
Really, I haven't seen any of that yet.
Yeah, do you follow a lot of the old big wheel guys though? Because I still follow a lot of them because I've done work.
Hold on, I'm definitely having audio problems here.
Did your headphones die?
You there?
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck just happened.
You good?
No, my earphones stopped working. Fuck, sorry, Jace.
It's all good.
Yeah, I'll just turn it off and on. Yeah, so I haven't seen any real hate on performance baggers, but I mean, so now the trend is on all the like the Road Glide pages and the pages on Facebook is somebody will put up, let's see those performance baggers, and everybody starts posting their pictures, and it's always shit. Like, I hate to say it, but most of the time it's shit, and most of the time it's still big wheels.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like, like I said, it's hard to define because people associate just like some motor work or a stage 3 with like, oh, I have a performance bagger now, wherever the case may be. But I guess the main thing that I was kind of getting at is that a lot of these guys like need to start looking at this kind of trend as like, hey, you know what? It might not be what big wheel baggers have been to you, but if you can't figure out a way to kind of adapt with the times going this way, you're going to have a hard time staying in the industry, because I don't see a lot of the big wheel bagger companies that make products that are going to be required to make big wheel baggers staying around for a long time, especially after this recession that we're probably going to hit after this deal.
No, because the big builds, the big wheel builds, like that's the people who had the money for that is drying up. And if you look at like Daytona, there weren't a ton of bikes. Mm-hmm. Big difference between last year and this year, from what I heard. There was a lot less big wheels, because anybody who was on a big wheel is there because it's cool.
Yeah,
they don't love these bikes. So year 1, they're going to go to Daytona. Are they going to go year 2? Maybe. But then after that, the bike's going to sit in their garage and collect dust.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything, and they're not doing it because they love it. They're the trend is definitely dying.
Yeah. Well, I guess the proponent argument for this is that there's nothing that you can do to a performance bagger that's going to make your ride not good. You know what I mean? Like the whole concept of the movement is to make the bike handle, perform, accelerate, stop, just everything better, right? And then, like that's not going to go away. If anything, that's always going to be the new norm for this type of motorcycle. And then maybe later on we get into big wheels again, but it's still going to be with, well, I still need to be able to ride the way I do, I think what it's going back to is people are just wanting to ride these bikes again.
I think you overestimate people. I think it's a trend, and the trends are usually started by the trendsetters, and the big wheels became stupid.
Yeah.
And then the performance bikes became cool, and it was more like, why do people like club style dynas? Because of the fucking TV show, because it was cool.
Yeah.
Right? So then why do people like performance baggers? Because it's like a club style dyna in a way, but on a bagger. Like it's the new cool bike. The reasons we got into it may not be the same reason why a guy who gets into it this year gets into it. Because like if you're new to motorcycles this year and you love Harleys and you're looking at the baggers, you're gonna like the big spaceship, or you're gonna like the one that's really cool and performs and looks mean and fast and handles well.
Yeah.
Like I get it, but I would like to think people get into it because they like the idea of a really well built bagger. But I think a lot of the reasons they get into it is because the influence of what you see online.
True. I mean, I'd like to give credit all the time whenever it's due, but, the guys that really pushed me into this whole performance bagger thing were, I think it's RPM Moto out of LA area. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And some of the homies up in NorCal, when I was riding my FXR up there, a lot of my dudes' friends up there were just running around with T-bars on their bikes, road glides and shit. I'm like, dude, that looks coming that I've always ridden road glides, seeing these biker road glides with the same bars I'm running on my FXR. I'm like, that looks fun. And then 2 months later, I'm riding next to these badass 124 road glides all the way through Tennessee, and I'm fucking like, I was hooked at that point, and then I wanted one, But when I first did mine, I felt like I was too early. You know what I mean? Like
your first one, you were too early, 100%.
It just didn't like hit. You know what I mean? I don't know.
No, I think I like. You did yours when? 2016, 2017?
January 2017. No. I'm sorry, 2018.
Like you could put that bike out now today, and people would freak out how nice it was.
So
like,
I ended up I built it visually, and the next step was full suspension and motor work, but it just didn't really hit for me like very much. So, and then I had an offer and got, I sold it fucking real quick, and I was going to do a different bike. I was just going to go back to the FXR because I felt like that was a better fit for me. And then the new Road Glides came out with the little side fairings, and I fell in love with them. And it sucks because I literally
one little side fairing, you fell in love.
That side fairing changed the whole look of a Road Glide for me.
I know. I wish it would fit on my bike with the crash bar, the Santoro bar.
Yeah, well, I don't crash.
Yeah, I know you don't like crash bars. Like I just
drop
like the cage.
Nah, dude, I when I drop my bike in Sturgis, it's still scratched
I was just
today.
Gonna say that.
I'm a painter. It's almost been a year, and my shit is still scratched up on the left side of the bike.
So what are you? I see like hints that you're redoing your bike now.
I was going to. I'll be honest with you. I was going to redo my bike before the New York trip, so I was going to take it apart the day after the camp out, redo the paint. I got our kind of wheels that are coming out that are going to be.
Oh no way! You're doing your own wheels.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We're doing through a friend, through Jade Affiliated. He's making some wheels. We're gonna, test them out on my buddy Midwest Grinder's bike. He's gonna have the first set, and then my bike, I'm gonna do a set. But just gotta make sure it's all legit before we start really putting our name on it and things like that. But I was wanting to do my bike. The last time I really built a bike was my Gold FXR. Right, that was my last build.
Build like ground up build.
Yeah, and then so talking to Kyle and seeing all the pictures of his bike, I'm just like, I'm not even trying to. It's like trying to bring your movie out with Avengers Endgame the same weekend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm gonna let him bring his shit out. I want to see what he comes out with, and let his bike kind of
But nobody's gonna do the work that he does. Like he's gonna have something finished that's under the bike, inside the fender, that nobody's ever gonna see. Like. Ever anywhere, and he's gonna do it, and he's gonna spend so much time doing it. The amount of time he's spent hand laying his own carbon lately, he's doing so many little pieces, and like I'm on a chat with him and Curtis, and like he's throwing these pieces up. He's like, Curtis, I don't even need you anymore. And like I'm like when he did he has a Memphis Shades fairing, and he covered that in carbon, and it came out perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but how much time do you have in it? He's like, I don't even want to talk about how much time I have in this thing. And so, he's a body guy.
Yeah, exactly. So with that being said, for you listeners out there, there's a way to do carbon on parts that aren't physically all the way made in carbon. And that process is very, very complicated, very time consuming, and very expensive, to where you wish they just had a carbon gas tank, right?
Yeah.
So my thing as a painter, if I did that to my bike and I went out there and rode it, what I found is when you tell customers no, it pisses them off. Nobody that's willing to spend money wants to hear no. But if you say yes, you're going to be in a bad place all the time. So I don't want to do anything to my bike to where
that you wouldn't sell,
that I wouldn't do for somebody, because then I'm going to have to be like, well, hey man, I want this. Well, I don't do that. Well, you did it for yourself. Why won't you do it for me? You don't have the kind of money. You know what I mean? There's no way I can get out of that situation without offending somebody.
It's probably because you're nicer than Kyle, because Kyle would have no issue saying, yeah, no, I'm not doing that for you. Fuck off.
I guess. Because
guaranteed that's going to be his life for the next little bit when everybody sees that bike. Can you do that? No.
Yeah, he showed me the graphics, the direction he's going, and I'm really stoked for him, man. Like at the end of the day, man, I'm just really like stoked to have all these new people, these new friends that are all somebody that I can text and talk to because of a fucking motorcycle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
100%.
that's dope. And genuinely being super stoked to see his bike being built, and just like watching just like somebody watching someone perform, you know what I mean? Seeing this thing come together. He's using the same color Cerakote that I'm in love with. I've used it on a lot of my bikes in the time. And he's paying attention to so many details that I'm a lot of times when I would build a bike or I would do a custom bike, I would take a lot of details, and he's going way further than I would do. So his work, I very much appreciate looking at it and seeing someone put that kind of effort into performance baggers, because it's going to raise the bar for everybody. You know what I mean? Yeah.
He's going to way beyond raise the bar. And you won't see the work in that bike till you see it in person. Because his bike before was nice. Mind-blowing in person, the little details he had. And now it's like, it's just so much more. But what you said, you're absolutely right. Like saying like the friends you've made in this, like guys like Kyle and Monty. Have you ever met Monty?
Yeah, Monty.
Pinstriper.
He did the podcast with us, remember?
Oh, yeah, of course. Sorry. Yeah, and Curtis, like these guys are genuinely really good friends of mine now, which I met through Instagram, through this shit. And like I've made a bunch, I've made a lot of genuine friends that I know I'll be friends with for a very long time.
Yeah.
Through these bikes. Like Sturgis was a blast.
Dude,
we had so much fun.
I'm so mad that I left early.
Mhm.
A lot of people know why I left early, but I wasn't happy about some certain things that went down. And but leaving early and then seeing all the shit you guys did, like I was like, fuck, I wish I would have stayed and just partied with you guys a little bit more.
We had so much fun. But like we took 16 people who, some of us met, but like a lot of people, there were just like groups of guys, put everybody in a house. And everybody we rode all day, we hung out all night, and there was no issue, there was no beef, there was no issue with anybody, and we had so much fun just riding and hanging out. And it's like that whenever I hang out with any of the guys that are riding. That's why I'm disappointed about Laconia too, because I was going to see all the guys from Boston. Yeah. There's a lot of guys from kind of that area there that I was looking forward to seeing.
Exactly.
So like if what I'll probably do is if Laconia gets canceled, I'll do a ride. I don't even know if the border is going to be open by then, but I would like to do a ride and go down into Boston and see all the guys that I really like down there, and like, hook up maybe a whole bunch of us and go out on a ride together.
Yeah.
I don't know, so we'll see who really rides out of all the guys, and but I think people will be happy to just be on their bikes and ride and hang out. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, for sure. It's and if you ever follow Steve Chamberlain, which there's a funny thing because people fuck with me because I talk about him so much on this podcast. But at the same time, like when me and him get together, we jump on the bikes and we ride and we do shit. And we met through Instagram and the Campout and things like that. And it boils down to that simplicity thing, just getting out, and that's one thing, like with all this thing going on with this virus and stuff, it's like, I'm really hoping that when people get out of this, they'll start saying yes to more things and making efforts, moving things around to be a part of these things, to have these memories, to at least be able to get on group chats like we are and just like, dude, you remember the good times we used to go do this together? Just something to look forward to instead of having nothing because you said no your whole life. You know what I mean?
See, the one thing is, like, you could say this. I could definitely say this. Like, if this world ends now, and all this shit, I could say I did everything I wanted to. I lived a crazy life. I've had so much fun. I've said yes to everything. Like, I've done everything I want to do. But like, if you're sitting at home now, and saying, fuck, maybe I didn't do enough with my life, and like this shit's terrible. Like, fuck, this should be a huge eye opener for you. Like, for everybody. Like that's a really big thing.
Yeah, just having
deep here.
No, it's the truth, man. Like being able, like having, for the most part, in some weird way, like having your freedoms taken away from something that, or worse for other people. Some people are just quarantined. Some people are losing their whole livelihood, which is, extremely fucked. Yeah. But, coming out of this, I know it's going to be a struggle for a lot of people to get back on their feet, man. But, like when your buddy asks you to, not even bikers, just people in general, like when your friend asks you, hey man, you want to come over and have a beer? You want to come over and cook some steaks? You want to go, you want to go to the Buffalo Wild Wings and catch the baseball game or whatever? Like, do it, man. Yeah. Just fucking get out there and start being the guy that you wish that you could have been when you couldn't do it.
And I can tell you that if you want a motorcycle, go buy one now, because now you're going to get a deal.
Hell yeah.
I was talking to a buddy today, and yesterday, and he's looking for a new bike, maybe a Road Glide or something. And he's like, I'm like, the thing is, two things can happen after this, because Harley stopped making bikes right now, right?
Yeah.
The plant's closed. So what's going to happen with 2021 models? Like, so my guess is if there were any major changes happening for 2021, it might get pushed back to 2022.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And he's like, but I'm going to wait, because what if everything goes back to normal and everybody's stuck with all these bikes? I'm like, yeah, it could be. But the other option is everything goes back to normal and everybody thinks life is too fucking short, I'm going to buy a bike. And then because they didn't produce bikes for 3 months, 4 months, there's a big shortage in motorcycles.
Which then raises the value of them.
Which then raises all the Harleys. Because this could be good for Harley, who had a product that was priced, in everybody's opinion, too high and too much inventory. Well, now the inventory is going to drop really low. So maybe, the supply and demand will kind of make sense at that point for people who want new bikes. So I'm curious to see what's gonna fall out after this.
Yeah, it's it's a scary thing because like for instance, me and a lot of our friends that are in the industry, like we sell a luxury to a luxury. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm trying to sell you a custom paint job to a helmet that's already expensive by Harley standards. You know, I was talking with the apprentice here today who grew up riding sport bikes. He's a stunt rider, all that cool shit. And he was like telling me how funny it is that like dudes on Harleys still don't get the helmet thing. They don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, they'll like see you putting your helmet on at a Harley event and be like, you know, you don't have to wear that, right? It's, you know what I mean? It's so funny how like people, you know, like so much of the Harley world is like still kind of rebels against the helmet, like it's some kind of gel for your head or some shit. You know what I mean?
Did you ever used to ride with no helmet?
I did for a while. Like, so I rode the sport bike, and it just riding a sport bike, it feels so unnatural to not have a helmet on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just doesn't feel right. Like it fits, it goes with it. And then jumping on the Harley, like I said, the social norm was not. It was, you know, 50 Cent style, bandana, baseball cap to hold. You know what I mean? Like I had the swag going on. And the thing that sucks is that I got laid a lot doing that shit. So it's like it worked for the time, but looking back on it now, I felt so Backstreet Boys. You know what I mean? It's not even cool.
Yeah, of course you did.
But no, I didn't wear the helmet as much unless I was going on a trip. Like when I went on trips, I had helmets. So, you know, I talk all the time how I have a 17, 18, and 19, and 20 helmet. Well, I have a 15 and 16 helmet as well. They're just kind of like random helmets I had laying around that I would throw a quick paint job on so I would have something to wear to California when I rode.
You had the little beanie kind of helmet?
No, I didn't do that. Those things don't fucking work. No. The thing is, like when you're going on a trip, like even with the fairing, the wind still hits your face, and the wind will tire you out. So the helmet solves the whole fatigue.
So you always rode with a full face?
On trips, for sure.
But that's because you came from a sport bike world.
Yeah.
I always rode Harleys.
Yeah.
So for me, it was always like the smallest little helmet you can find.
Yeah.
And then when I would go somewhere that didn't have helmet laws, I would not wear helmets, but I wasn't riding aggressively.
True.
You know?
So I was doing stupid shit on my bike. I'd get so fucked up riding. Like I probably shouldn't say on the podcast, but dude, like that was my shit, man. That was my shit. Go out, get hammered drunk, and one-eyed on the way home on my big wheel listening to fucking, you know, whatever the popular song was. Maybe Young Jeezy. I don't know.
As loud as you can?
Yeah, dude, fuck it,
Did you
man.
have a big stereo on that thing?
The first time I built my bike, I had a huge stereo for the standards at the time. But I was only able to play it loud drunk. I could never do it sober.
I was going to say, when you pull into a gas station, would you let it play while you're filling up?
Could not do it. I just... It was too weird. It's the same equivalent to riding around in a convertible to me. Mm-hmm. Like if you have a convertible car and you just like go to a stoplight, like you're so exposed, right?
Yeah.
They see everything. You can't like scratch your nuts or anything. Like you have to be so aware that everybody's staring at what you're doing in your car.
Yeah.
And you got to even like think about like your face. Like what kind of face are you making right now? You know what I mean? You can't hide behind tint. So when you like pull in a gas station with your fucking stereo blazing, it's like you're just drawing all the attention to you 100%. You know what I mean?
That's why the big wheel guys love, like that drives me nuts, especially a huge stereo on a bike. If you're cruising, listening to your stereo, no problem. But if you're just sitting there, turn the fucking thing down. Like when I ride, I don't even have a big stereo. I have an amp and speakers on my motorcycle so I can hear it. But when I'm pulling up, I turn it all the way down.
Yeah.
Don't. It's like riding in a car. It's like you're sitting at the light, blasting your music out of your car. Like you're a fucking idiot. Like you look like a douche.
So the only time that I'm a hypocrite for this is, like I said, when I would be out with the boys and I would be pretty drunk, all bets were off. That shit was on blast, almost clipping from the amps. But I mean, you know, all bullshit aside, like, man, like I'm glad I had that phase. I'm glad that I did that bike. And for the time that I rode big wheels, I had a fucking great time. If I didn't ride those bikes and I didn't ride them across country and felt like such a outsider for doing so, I don't know if I would have ever jumped into this if I would have ever took the Dyna to the FXR into the performance bagger. So To me, it was a necessary life experience to help me evolve my interest in motorcycles. You know what I mean?
But I think it was just like, it was the trend in bikes. Like if
Yeah.
you were a biker and you loved bikes, either you went, if you're a Harley guy, you went the Dyna route or you went the bagger route. And at that time, if you were on a bagger and you wanted a cool bagger, it was a big wheel. There were no other options.
Yeah.
You didn't have options to do a different style. They weren't like, there was stock or big wheel.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't the performance stuff. You could do a mild big wheel, but somebody like me or you, we probably do everything to the extreme, and you want the best of the best and the coolest of the coolest. So if you're going to do a big wheel, you're going to do a big wheel.
Yeah.
You're going to go performance bagger, you're going to go real performance bagger. So there weren't, you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah. Well, also,
it wasn't our fault, the big wheel.
Yeah.
Like, we're a support group. It was not our fault. We had no choice. It was peer pressure.
It's like, dude, it was the 80s. We all looked like that.
Yeah, we all had mullets.
Yeah, which is surprisingly coming back. Some of us, like myself, I ain't going to be able to pull it off.
But your wife's a barber. At least you have a barber at home.
Yeah. But to me, it's like, what is having a wife that's a barber if she won't manscape you? It's bullshit, right?
You really want her to do that?
Fuck yeah.
That'd be hysterical.
Just to say she did it. No, she cuts my hair every once in a while. She does a really good job on my beard.
Okay.
But like I said, my hair is just fucked. I'm done. I'm tapping out. I'm like a year away from straight shaving it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, then you need the straight shave with the big beard.
I don't really even want to. I'm so over beards as well. I just need it to hide my chins.
I think I've heard you say that. That's why you're holding on to it. If like the last couple of months, we would try to get it really short just to kind of get as short as possible before it starts to expose what's underneath. And you know what I mean? Like I don't really care to have it anymore, to be honest with you, but I also just can't. Dude, no bullshit. I was going to the gym the day they shut it down. No bullshit. You could go outside and run.
Yeah, but I mean, like I need to do it in a facility so everybody can see that I'm doing it with mirrors everywhere so I can see my progress.
Yeah, because there's going to be two people. At the end of this, there's two people. They're the people who just sat around and ate and watched TV and woke up at 12 o'clock every day.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be the people who ate healthy and went to the gym and lost weight. And so how many girls do you follow in their fucking story? All they show is their workout every day in their house. Do you get that?
I'm not allowed to look at other girls on Instagram. I'm married. So, but no, I get that. But man, like, it's also like I'm not less busy. I'm just as busy now, if anything. And honestly, I feel like it's a chance right now for me to get caught up because people aren't expecting a lot to happen right now. So I feel like it's like a way for me to get in and get more done. I do want to, like, you see those memes where everybody's talking about like, you should come out of this with a new skill or some shit like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of extreme, but I do kind of agree that like it'd be nice to be able to spend or allocate some time since I'm not going to the bar and to bike nights and things like that to where I could be spending that time doing something more productive, like working on certain skills I already have, like maybe working on pinstriping or something that I'm not as good at. You know what I mean? So I want to do that.
But it's hard.
more.
Like I'm stuck at home.
Yeah.
And so, I have the new baby, but still, like, I still wake up. I still go for a run early in the morning. At 9, I'm sitting in front of my computer, and I'll work for half a day. And then I have lunch. And then I work a little more. I'm installing air ride, and I have an older car that I don't drive very much, and I brought it home. I put it in my garage. I'm putting a new air ride in it, which I'm doing at 100% myself, which is kind of surprising it worked out. But today it lifted for the first time after like 3 days of me scratching my head. It was a bad relay at the end.
Yeah.
But so I did that. That's really helped keep me busy. And then I have dinner, and then I'm watching. Like, my days are flying by. And I agree. There's so much stuff I would like to be doing and working on to make myself better in this. But like this time at home, your days go by so quick.
Yeah, they do.
So there's no. I feel like there's no time. I have to make it. But it's hard to find the time to do anything. I almost feel like I had more time when I'm working.
Yeah, it makes sense. It actually does. I get it, man. Like it's a weird deal because there's only so much time I can spend here at the shop before I have to leave it. You know what I mean? Because I spend a lot of time here as it is, and it's a really hard time to look at like picking up one of the 4 skateboards I have painted right here that I'm supposed to be giving away on Patreon 2 months ago. But it's hard to like look at that skateboard and be like so stoked to do something on it when I've just been here for the last 12 hours. You know what I mean?
I'm surprised you went back there for you never do the podcast from home?
No, our internet, since, you know, for almost a year in May, I've lived in an actual house that we ended up taking from my, not taking, but took over from my mom. And so we were living in an apartment in downtown Dallas, and then we moved out here, and the internet's just not as strong at our house as it is here at the shop. So
it's close to the shop, though?
Plus, I built this, I'm only 3 miles away. So we built this studio here, and everything's set up. I don't have to transport it back and forth to the house. And so it's just easier. But
how's the new shop?
The shop's
the way it's
dope.
set up now.
Like I really enjoy it. I really enjoy being here every day. I'm doing I just finally. So I don't know if you listened to the podcast much, but like this year we've been talking about doing a series of helmets to get to paint and sell. And so the first one's going to be just 5 helmets. I want to test the waters and see how it goes. And basically are
they all the same, like this
all
series?
The same. It'll be 5 of the same helmets, but you'll get to pick your size. But at our current pricing for the helmets, it's the cheapest way it's the only affordable option, and it's still not cheap to get a helmet from us. You know what I mean?
Well, it's still done by hand, custom done. It's just the design is the same on 5. So, you're saving a bit of time there, but it's still the same amount of work.
So, that's what I was thinking. Like at first I wanted to do 10 each, but I feel like 5 is more realistic because 5 helmets is like, like there's only 5 of them out there. So it's more rare, I guess you would say, as opposed to like, oh, we're going to do this 10 series. If the demand's so fucking high, then I would get it. But right now I have a couple really nice designs that I think are kind of universal as far as cool. And so the first helmet, the number 1 helmet, is going to come. It's going to be a little more expensive, but it'll come with like the original sketch for the idea, all the notes, everything that I'm gonna try to make that first helmet the full experience of designing this thing. And we're working on some other trinkets down the line to give with the helmet. So it's almost like you'll buy one of these helmets and it'll be like you're buying a fucking CVO or something. You know what I mean? It'll come with a lot more things attached to it.
I want it to be an experience.
Helmets? Huh?
They're all Simpson helmets?
They are, and the only, like I rode that Bell all last year, and I like the helmet. Don't get me wrong, I really do. Bottom line is my head fits better in the Ghost Bandit. That's personal preference to me. It's not going to be the same for you or somebody else. You know what I mean? So when I would go on the trips with it, after like an hour and a half or an hour, the top of my ears would just go numb because the way my head shaped. Yeah, the way my head shaped in the helmet, it would just like it was too much pressure on my ears. Not Bell's fault. Totally just
it's to shape your head. Yeah,
totally just that. So, but the biggest thing is that like I've worked with Simpson for the last year to get all these replacement parts for these helmets so that we can rip them down to bare shells and have complete like take them as far as we want as far as paint jobs.
Oh, okay.
And put them back together and it'll look like a brand new helmet.
Okay. Yeah. So my question to you, when you do the airbrush on the top, the picture, do you always choose that or does the client choose it?
No, the client does. But, like on our chat, we were talking about.
That's where I'm going with this question.
So we do, but here's the deal. Like
have you ever said no?
A lot of times, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the main factor is like if the image that somebody wants to airbrush, it doesn't matter if it's a helmet or a gas tank or whatever. If it's a really poor quality image, then my airbrush is going to reflect that. So that's one of the main things. Everybody wants like iconic movies from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Guess what? Shitty images. All shitty.
Yeah.
So a lot of the newer stuff, they have like since digital cameras have been a thing, we have higher pixel cameras or resolution images as opposed to most of the images before 2000 was all scanned in to something digital. Now, as far as like the what's the Tiger King?
Tiger King.
I don't.
Joe. Fuck is his name? Joe. I forgot. I'm drawing a blank now. But yeah, the Tiger King guy.
I think that shit is stupid as hell, personally. That's just my opinion.
Joe Exotic.
Yeah. I get that he could become something that a lot of people would want to do in their helmet, but I guess for me, like, I'm probably the only one thinking like this, but the time I spent designing and creating and doing these helmets, they end up meaning a lot to me. You know what I mean? So if you're doing this shit for a fucking prank, it's almost like, to me, I take it like, dude, get your nerd ass out of here. Like, do something that means something to you. But it's kind of I can't really say that because at the same time, like, I got Kenny Powers on my helmet, who,
Yeah.
you know, it was a funny show. I really dug it. I like it. I don't identify as Kenny Powers or any kind of way like that. So I get it. I guess like when y'all asked me that question on the chat room, I was just like, this show is the stupidest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I agree.
And I would absolutely not want to do it. So
crazy.
Because one of the other guys was like, dude, like, we just meant it for a joke. And I guess they didn't know I was kind of, you know, fucking around too. But
yeah,
it was one of those deals, man.
So basically, if you're listening to this podcast, you want to reach out to Jace and you want the Tiger King on your helmet. And just see how much you have to pay him to do it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure if I did it, I could get some, you know, because it's all recent. Like, so the images would be fucking amazing.
They're everywhere too.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I just don't like, I have an issue watching those kind of shows where it's like shit show people just doing shit show stuff. You know what I mean? Like Jackass was one thing because it's like they were just doing it. It was kind of a different type of entertainment, but it's really hard to watch this dude actually live his life thinking like, fuck, man, this girl's arm just cut off. Let me run back and put on a paramedic jacket. You know what I mean? It's just.
But I wonder if that show would have been such a big hit if it wasn't for this shit going on now. Or if it just would have gone unnoticed. Because I watched the whole thing. It was entertaining. But I mean, I kept waiting for something to happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the whole thing was a little lost on me. Like watching all these meth heads. It is what it is. But it's become this internet sensation.
Yeah. We were talking about that today in the shop. I was wondering, like, is he getting any kind of royalties off this whole thing? Or how does that work? Like,
I do think he was a smart enough guy that he probably didn't do it for free.
Yeah.
And did you watch the whole thing?
No, I watched like a show and a half. And then the rest of it I got through memes.
Like, I do feel bad for the guy. And I think he was definitely set up. Kind of too dumb for his own good. You know?
Yeah. I saw the very awkward part where he decided to be run for office in some form of fashion and tried to make a joke where he was saying like something about his husband in Oklahoma, which is more Republican than Texas. It was just like that kind of social awkwardness or that kind of like awkwardness makes me feel uncomfortable. And I'm like, I don't want to watch this shit. I'll start getting weird. You know what I mean? I'll start feeling like stressed out for this guy, more or less. You know what I mean?
That's pretty cool. So what, besides the paint, are you doing any parts on your bike this year?
The wheels, I'm going to end up doing the wheels. I think that they're going to be a good deal. We worked with him to come up with like a stepped lip, which he already came up with, but we're doing a stepped lip. We really wanted to dial in the hubs to get some really nice lightweight hubs. But my dumbass, don't quote me on this, but like I understand that going too light on your wheels could cause wobble issues at higher speeds. So we're kind of looking for that nice.
That's the debate.
That's the debate, right?
I have BSTs. I haven't felt that at all, even though Kevin hates them.
Yeah. I don't know either, man. It's kind of a deal. And it's like I would rather – I think that being lighter than stock is the key, but I'm not trying to make them feel like feathers. You know what I mean?
What color are you going to do them?
They'll chrome, we'll have the different stuff. But, the thing is that we're doing them through a manufacturer, so you'll be able to order them and they'll be built to order, not like how Curtis has them where they're, hey, I got 5 sets left. You know what I mean? So like
is it going to be the Fast Life wheel?
Yeah. So
sick.
Mine will be my personal one's going to be like a candy turquoise. So it'll be the chrome with candy turquoise. So I'm going to kind of go that look. And then we've been, I had a long talk with Curtis about like rotors because I'm a nerd when it comes to matching rotors. Like I don't like wheels with unmatching rotors, but he made a good point that a lot of people in our kind of movement of like performance baggers we're just looking for the best rotors for the ride, not so much the one that matches 100%. So, like the one we're doing for Aaron's bike, the Midwest Grinder dude, he's going to be running the Behringer rotors, and he's already got Behringer, radial calipers and things like that. So that's already going to be dialed in for him. And his wheels, we're going to do the same Cerakote, the same gray that I've always done on my motors and bikes, and the same one that Kyle's using on his, and incorporating a paint job into that thing. As far as my bike, man, I'm at 28,000 miles right now. I'm hoping that I can get this whole year done, which already now with all this shit going on, I feel like I'm not going to do as many miles this year. But I still plan, if for sure New York's pretty much off the table, but I might just put it to like September, like do New York in September or some shit like that. I don't know what else I want to do to it other than like a revamp of a paint job.
No motor stuff.
Well, I'm kind of, like I said, I want to get the rest of this year done, and then I think at that point in time, it's going to be time for a fresh motor. I'll probably be about 45, maybe 50,000 miles, and I don't know. I was kind of interested in that 131 that Harley came out with as a crate.
I've seen it. It kind of came out, and I'm like, okay, Harley put out a 131, big deal. But then I've seen some numbers, and it's putting out good numbers.
Yeah. Like
from what I've seen, and my dealer over here did one, and I don't know what cam they did, and a proper pipe, and then they did a race tuner, even though they didn't tell anyone. Yeah. But like with the race tuner, it put out 150 horsepower.
Fuck,
big
dude.
Number. Out of that 131.
I'd go number 3 in my pants over that shit.
Yeah, like I was shocked by the number, because I figured, okay, a 131 from Harley, it'll probably put out what the other motors are. But like, look, there's so many. Don't quote me. I'm not a motor guy. I don't know anything, and there's a million reasons why different motors do different things. 100%. And the numbers that they put online could have been botched anyways. Everybody puts fake numbers online, also. But I'd have to ride one to see it. But I have seen good things about that motor.
Yeah. So when the 120R came out back in the day, it was a very hot motor. It was always running hot. It had a lot of issues with the heat, and that's when they came out with the 120 ST-R, I believe it was, which was a more streetable motor. Okay. So my thing is, for I think, what is that motor like? The crate motor is like $7,000 or $6,500 for that bike.
Yeah,
it's
something
what it is. In the same ballpark of if S&S offered an M8 replacement motor, right? And the way I look at it is, if at this point, when it comes down to that, I'm going to probably need to redo the crank or have it balanced and things, a lot like what Steve's doing to his bike now. So once all that shit is done and said, I'm still going to be in that $7,000 range for a bottom end, fresh top end, all these things, when I could just buy this motor for, X amount of dollars. Right. I can swap it in. I'm that mechanically inclined when I can do. Put it in, put my Thundermax on it. Don't give a shit about a warranty as long as as long as it's, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then go for that. I'm not a horsepower nerd though. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
I am more concerned about reliability and having fun on the bike. So
I couldn't agree with you more.
I love my 114 with the cam in it. It is perfect for me. Anything more, I'm going to be racing sport bikes, dude. And I'm going to get my ass whooped probably, but I'm going to feel real cool doing it. Keep it kind of up, I couldn't imagine.
You don't need these guys chasing these big numbers online. Like when somebody builds a motor, and we're all guilty of doing it, we all say, what number did it do? The truth is, the number doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
It's really how it feels, and torque is way more important than horsepower on these bikes.
Yeah.
And like, I'm thrilled with I have an S&S 124 in mine, and I'm thrilled with the power the bike gives. Do I need to but it doesn't even need to be that much powerful, because I'm only as good as I can ride.
Exactly.
Everybody's only as good as they can ride, and half the guys doing big motors can't ride these bikes well enough anyways.
True.
So, I always kid around that I ride with John, and John rides who Johnny is he's got the Brown King with the FXR fairing on the front of it. His name is Johnny P.
Oh, yeah.
Online.
Yeah.
So he was with us in Sturgis too, and he rides a 2010 King with a stock motor, and he'll take me on any turn because he's a better rider than I am.
Yeah.
So the truth is, the big motor, it gets you you don't need it for the kind of riding we want to do.
True. Exactly.
You know, if you're going to drag race or if you want to go on an open highway and just go, yeah, okay, great. But that's not fun. The riding we want to do is the curves and it's the turns and it's the big sweepers and this and that. And you don't need these big motors for that. But, you know, you need a bit of stuff. You need a cam. But a 114 with a cam and then taking a pipe and a tune is more than good enough for anybody.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, though. Like I said, me and Steve going to Sturgis last year, we leave Omaha, Nebraska, we show up into Sturgis, and then we go rip Spearfish Canyon with our shit still packed on our bike. You know what I mean? Like, that to me is that's what I want to be able to do on my bike. And I don't want to push my motor to the point where making that trip from Dallas to Omaha to Sturgis is going to put so much of a strain on the bike. You know, running it at 90, 95 miles an hour for an hour and a half at a time. You know what I mean? So to me,
I could tell you most of these guys online who boast big numbers on, you know, shop bikes, these aren't bikes that are ridden.
Yeah.
You know, because the big horsepower bikes, the really big horsepower, these are drag bikes, these are show bikes, these are shop bikes. They're not the bikes the guys are doing big mileage on. Yeah. You know, and somebody will put in, you know, 124 kit and they're getting 125, 130 horsepower. And people are like, oh, that's it? Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what the bikes should do because it's reliable power.
Yeah.
And it's still, you know, 60% more than what the bike came with. You know, these bikes make 80, 90 horsepower.
84 horsepower for the 107 and 86 for the 114. And
yeah, that's what I mean.
And 91, I believe, for the 117.
Yeah, so if you're getting 125, 130 like horsepower and 140 plus torque, that's a massive difference. 50% more power.
I mean, I did the 468 cam from Zippers in my bike, and that thing, we haven't dynoed it yet, but running it against other people that have dynoed their bikes at around 106, 7, 8, 9 horsepower, my shit pulls theirs. You know, just third gear pulls, things like that on the highway.
Some bikes are also just like before I did my motor kit, I had a buddy, I needed a stage 2. And all I had was intake and a pipe.
Yeah.
And I was still right with him. And he had stage 2 with a tuner and a cam and like I always said like my bike factory had good power in it.
Yeah.
And then you get other bikes that like you'll do the exact same motor kit in 2 different bikes and one of them puts out a bigger number than the other. It doesn't mean shit. I don't think it means shit because you could put 150 horsepower on your bike. Chances are you're not good enough to ride that much power.
Yeah, I just don't think it's as important as anything else. Same thing. Like I know that you're part of the inverted front end clique, but I you know, whenever I started doing this performance bagger thing, I saw that that was kind of the top tier thing to do was to do like an inverted front end and things like that, but to not deter people from wanting to go this route, I wanted the people to understand like you need to like, not that it put like this. If I had a disposable $7,000, I would totally. I say I think I don't know. I don't know if I would do it, even if I had the money. Seriously, like not because of anything. I do love the traditional look of the Harley Davidson front end, but I also don't want people to feel like they have to do that to be in this like thing. You know what I mean? So like,
no, I don't think they do. I agree with that 100%. And you know what I actually think is the coolest? Like I see some guys like on Facebook, usually older guys, and it's 100% stock CVO with inverted front end and brakes on it. And like to me, it's amazing because the guy didn't do it because he wanted to fit in somewhere. The guy said, I love my bike, but I want it to handle and brake better than anything else. And he went and he researched and he found it. And the rest of the bike is 100% stock. Yeah. I think that's crazy. Like I could really, really appreciate that. Would I do it inverted front end again? I don't know.
How do you feel about, so I guess if we were to have like, you know how like a lot of American sports have like the red, white, and blue tag? I honestly believe that the performance bag would be like Olin shocks hanging out the back of a fender. Is pretty much the separation between the three colors.
The rear shocks, yeah.
Well,
whenever I see somebody and they're hiding them on the inside, like Will, Race Glide, and all those Boston guys, they have them on the inside. The Johnny P, the guy I was just talking about, my buddy up here, he just bought them and he put them on the inside. Like, you can't put them on the inside.
Yeah.
Like, that was my first thing. But I guess I'm getting it. You want to be a little more low-key, but I'm already too far gone on my bike anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I get the whole low-key point, but I also get the point of being the – excuse my word, but like the guy that might influence people to want to buy the bike because they see the the commonality between the people in this world to do it. But what I was going to get at is like with other suspension companies coming out and wanting to be a major player, you know, I've had a conversation with 2 other ones, and I'm stuck in a weird boat. So me and Big Bear sponsorship's up. We did a year together, and it's up, right? Yeah. So technically I can run whatever suspension I want on my bike and whatnot, but I don't know if I don't want to. You know, like
what I could say to you about like Öhlins, like if you look at suspension in general through all types of genres, through cars, through motorcycles, through fucking bicycles, mountain bike, Öhlins is the best.
Yeah.
There's no. You build a race car, you're gonna put a car on a track. You want the most expensive, best suspension you can get. You're gonna buy Öhlins.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's definitely options out there which are crazy expensive, but Öhlins, no matter what, right across the board, is the best shit out there. If you're comparing, you know, brands and everybody makes a good brand, I get that. And let's say, I don't want to say names, but you know what I mean? Let's say you run this brand and this brand is just as good and this brand is comparable. Then I can understand switching part to part. But if you're already running, you know, maybe I'm biased. You know what I mean? Am. But if you're already running like one of the best ones out there, and let's say you switch to another brand and let's say it didn't quite perform as well, like what benefit would you have? You know, to do it just for the sake?
Well, that and the fact that like so for instance, here's the deal. Like Jesse, I think is his name, that runs Legends Suspension. Legends. He's a good dude in the industry.
Sweetheart, great guy.
And I want to have him on the podcast, and I want people to hear about his suspension.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would want to run his suspension over what I currently have on my bike. You know what I mean?
But I don't think you can. I 100% hear what you mean. Like when we were at Sturgis, I went to the Legends party at the office.
Y'all got me in.
Marshall. Yeah, I got you in.
Yeah.
And we were with Marshall, and Marshall said, I was even wearing an Öhlins sweatshirt that day. And Marshall's like, my buddies are going to come. My buddy's the power bagger. He's got his all Öhlins out. Do you care if he comes? And he's like, no, of course not. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, I don't think you have to separate, you know, what you ride on your bike to the people who come on your podcast. Because it's irrelevant.
So yeah, it wouldn't dictate shit to just have him on the podcast as a guest to share the story of Legends and the story of things like that. I totally have
should be great, and he's a sweetheart. Like
I have I plan to do that. Right? There's other companies. I think JRI is another company that just recently has kind of been pushing themselves into the Harley market as well. But so. That company looks good too, and they look like they have a product, a suspension that looks great, but they don't offer the remote reservoir for the bagger. So what I'm kind of getting at is that there's this part of this performance bagger thing that is more not so much about the performance of it, but the look of it. And if you're going to have these suspension, like you almost want to have that ability to throw your flag out the back of these bikes. To let everybody know about your suspension. And so, you know, I was supposed to have a little meeting with them, and I was going to ask them, like, look, like if you're kind of idiots if you're not going to jump on this bandwagon of putting your suspension on Front Street, basically on all these baggers, because that's what they want it to look like. I don't think everybody gives a shit. You know, here's the deal. If unfortunately my argument with everybody when it comes to suspension is Öhlins is not that much more expensive than everybody else. So
no,
you're already here, might as well go there. But for the sake of like, okay, well, let's say that $200 price difference between a Revo A or the Revo A external reservoir shocks and the 357s is what or something.
44s. Oh no, 44 has the longer hose and the 357 has the short hose. Same shit. Yeah.
So like say you have to go Legends. Well, Legends at least has the option so you can get the look that people are going to be going for. Bam, it's on the table. This other company doesn't, but they're making touring model shit. And I'm saying like, okay, it might be great shit, but you got to understand like there's the majority of people that even buy an Öhlins can't ride them.
But it's the same reason when you bought your rear shocks, you could have got the ones without the piggyback.
And Kevin was offering those to me, and I was like, nope.
And he said, he did the same with me, and he's like, you don't need the piggyback. They don't ride any better. It's exact same thing. I think the piggyback originally was made for two-up riding.
Yeah.
And that's why they made them like that, so they're easy to adjust. I think. Don't quote me. But like, and I said to him, I'm like, yeah, but I want the
Yeah,
hook.
dude, I'm
I
trying
want
to
the
fucking
reservoir on
stunt
there.
my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, like when we're lined up and there's 12 bikes and they're all have those piggybacks back there.
yeah.
Looks cool. Looks
Yeah,
cool.
that's the
That's one of the, you put that on the checklist of the performance bagger like must-haves. You know, and you could do the legends are still just as cool with the piggybacks there too, but that's like the thing. Like everybody wants to see that thing back there.
yeah. I mean, we all get tired of the conversations at every gas station. Like, is that nitrous?
Mm-hmm.
What is that back there? Is that a stash spot? Just every fucking thing.
When I cross the border, because I always cross the border to go riding, that's always it. You know, what's that? What's that? Every so often people know it. I'm like, oh, it's very impressive, you know? Or like an old man will walk up, he's like, oh, that's this and that. I'm like, okay, this guy knows his suspension.
They always say, is that air ride?
Yeah, I get air ride or nitrous, mostly nitrous, but air ride.
But yeah, that's kind of the deal. I was just thinking, like, as far as concerned with like with other companies,
You mean like with page sponsors for you? Like, let's say they want to
for sure,
sponsor
page sponsors. Like, so if somebody wanted to sponsor us as a podcast, which is subsequently also me as a rider testing out their products or running their products on my bike, you know, I don't think I could take on another sponsorship for a suspension because.
But let's say, but suspension is one of the only things you could say that. Let's say somebody said like, you know, bars.
Yeah, bars are the same.
You know, Crouch, somebody who makes like a crazy setup, like really nice setup. Yeah, bars. There's so many other products that you probably say no problem to anything.
For sure.
Like Olin's might be one of the only things that you might not, you know.
Well, yeah,
sway
I
on.
mean, I guess
It's a look.
It is a look, and it's also like, I know that my riding ability is not to the point to where I would even be able to outride legends. I know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't want to be the dude that is sitting there telling you. I just don't think I'd be a good salesman for a product that I know is not as superior as this one that I've used to run. You know what I mean? I don't know,
you started at the best.
Yeah,
like myself. There's nowhere to go. Like if you were running any other brand of suspension, would you always be thinking, well, I should have got that one?
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of the way I built my bike. Like it's like, you know, if I'm going to look at two options and one is more money, even if like my inverted front end, like I could have gone with a drop-in kit.
Yeah.
But would I always regret not going full inverted? Probably.
Yeah.
You know, and I kind of want, like when I originally did my inverted front end, I didn't put radial brakes on it. I kept my factory Harley brakes.
Yeah.
And then over the winter, I got it in August. I put it on by like November. I took it apart and I sent it back to Kevin and I switched for the radial brakes. Because like it's like, and I can tell you it's a huge difference when I went radial, night and day difference. But like at first I did it because it's like that thing you always regret not doing the one you really wanted.
Yeah, I think I want to go if money allows it. I think radial brakes might be one of the things I end up doing. I know I'm gonna end up doing the Arlen Ness lowers on my bike because I like the smooth look. And Arlen Ness has a new setup, so basically you'll be able to. I want to say, I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this, but I want to say that they're starting to come out with a new setup so you can run radials instead of the traditional mounts on the lowers.
Like different mounting. At the bottom.
So instead of having all these brackets and shit, I can just have the radial mount set up. And some of those Brimbos out there are fucking like there's some, you can get Brimbos cheaper than, you know, the Behringers and things like that.
Well, you can also buy
the sport bike
ones off an R1.
Yeah.
So I just did a Kraus rear radial mount, and I have an R1 brake caliper on it, and I haven't rode it yet, but I mean it you know, I've spoke to many guys who do it, and everybody's like, yeah, it's the same thing. There's guys running Tokikos on the front. I don't know about those, but as long as you get one off a bigger, heavier bike, there's no issue. I'm guessing a caliper is a caliper. It's gonna work.
Yeah, I think it's probably more concerned about making sure you have the right master cylinder. Probably like real mechanics right here, like flipping off the flipping off the speakers right now.
Yeah,
like,
maybe
these fucking dumbasses.
I never changed my master cylinder on my front brakes when I went radial.
Yeah, but you have a dual you know, master cylinder radial front.
Yeah.
Dude, I know that I put on my old Dyna, I put bagger brakes on it with a master cylinder from my bagger as well. Oh my God, that thing would do stoppies. I mean, I never did one, but it could if it wanted to.
Really?
It was ridiculous, man.
That's how I feel when I went radial, like stopping on the bike, like it's almost scary to hit the front brake hard because of how hard it stops, which is amazing. Like that's, back to these bikes. That's the thing about these bikes. They perform so much better when you do these parts. And you don't have to go the crazy radials. You do a good set of discs. You do the right pads, because I don't know if people know, when you buy somebody's discs, you're supposed to use their same pads, or they'll go cheap and they'll keep the same pads. Don't do that. Do it the way people tell you to do it. And like the difference in these parts when they're done right, it's every single thing you do, you notice a huge difference.
Yeah.
So you do 20 different things, and 20 different things, like it's like a totally different motorcycle, these things, when we're done with it, like there's just, you can't even compare it. Like if I was to get on a stock Road Glide, I would hate riding it.
Yeah, you'd hate it. Hey, can I take a quick pause for the piss break?
Go.
All right.
Yeah. I have to check to see the messages people send me. So here, I can talk about something. So if you want your bike posted on the page, I could probably speak for myself. I could speak for Andy, a performance bagger. Send me the picture of the bike. Don't be upset if it's not a nice bike.
Yeah.
Like this is, I don't want to say it's a pet peeve of mine, but like people send me bikes all the time, and I love everybody's bike no matter what it is. But if you send me a bike that's pretty much stock with a pipe or stock with a T-bar, and I say, hey, it's a cool bike, don't get mad at me.
Go ahead.
You good?
Yeah.
Don't get mad at me if I don't post your bike, or, because I have guys, they'll send it. It's like, cool bike. I'm like, yeah, cool bike. They're like, can you post it? I'm like, and I try and be nice to people. I'm like, if it's not really, it's a cool bike, but it maybe doesn't have enough miles for the page, people get upset at me.
Yeah. No, I get it.
And I have to deal with that often enough, so if you have a cool bike, send it to me.
Or also think about like the pictures that you take of it, man. Like to me, like as someone who is not a photographer but really enjoys it, like try to take a picture of it where there's not like your cars in the background. Like do something nice, like make it a cool picture. You know what I mean?
And make sure the entire bike is in the frame.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys say, because you know how Instagram crops pictures, a lot of guys send me and it cuts half front wheel and half the bike is like cut off. Like, and I say to people all the time, can you send me a better picture? They're like, I'm not a photographer, but you take a picture of the whole bike, but then the front wheel is cut off.
Yeah, it's always easier to take.
Get it in the frame.
Yeah, take a big picture and then you have crop space, right? The other thing that bothers me, because I deal with this with my customers whenever I send them their tins, and I'm like, hey man, when you get done, send me pictures of it, and I'll post it. The ones that go on stories are the ones that did a shitty job at taking pictures of their bikes.
It's exactly
the ones that
what
get posted did a good job. So I always say, like, look, if the sun's here, put the bike so that the sun's hitting the part you're taking a picture of. Don't take a picture of the shadow side when the sun's on the other side. You know what I mean?
Yeah, always make sure the sun is behind you.
Yeah.
Try to make sure your shadow's not on the floor or on the bike.
Yeah.
Don't send a dark picture. And
well, it's fair for you to say that because, like I said, you're curating a wall or a timeline of photos of bikes that if people comes to the proper baggers page, you want to see a cohesiveness of very nice photography. That way people want to look at all these bikes. So if you're a guy that wants your bike posted, think about it in the sense of like, if each picture is like entertaining from a thumbnail perspective in a group of 9 other ones, that's how you got to think about it. I know it's kind of nerdy shit to get that deep in the whole thing, but at the same time, it's it makes a much difference on the quality of.
It's better. I always tell people, send me a 3/4 rear shot.
Yeah,
like 3/4 rear shot, bars all the way to the right, leaned over. Like those pictures get the most likes.
Yep.
And it'll look better for consistency for the page. But that's a big thing. Like good shots, good pictures. I had a guy send me a big wheel today. I still get a lot of those guys. Just if you send me a picture of your bike, like I'll post a bike that's almost stock if it's a sick picture.
Yeah,
I've done that before, and they get a lot of likes.
Who's that dude that has that gray bike? I think he's out of Virginia, or not Virginia, but Georgia area. It's like Live Fast Rider or something. He has like a gray one with like a Clockworks rear front fender. I don't know if.
Oh yeah. It's like a dark gray. Is it a matte?
I think it's a matte color. It might be red. I can't remember.
But he's like a photographer. He always takes crazy pictures. No,
that makes sense.
Like
yeah.
I know. But like. Well, I don't know if he's a photographer, but he takes really good pictures. But yeah, I know the bike you're talking about because
I was thinking
can
about
imagine.
this one, Live Fast Rider. Hold up.
Yeah, that's exactly the bike I thought you were talking about.
Yeah.
It's almost a stock bike, but he takes great photos.
Exactly.
Like if you can get me a good and riding shots, people love riding shots. But yeah, if you have a good riding shot,
I bought a drone so I can get some riding shots of myself.
Oh, is it the one that follows you?
Yeah, it's supposed to, but I don't know how to. It follows me into trees right now. I need to fucking fix that thing first. No, I bought it and I've taken it on me with like 3 rides and I never take it out because I feel like a douchebag. Like, here's the deal. I started following this page called Influencers in the Wild on Instagram, and now I'm scared to do any of this shit. Because I feel like one of my buddies are gonna take a video of me doing this shit, and then I'm gonna be on that fucking page doing some shit.
Did I send you guys? I was in Miami. I was at a pool in Miami in South Beach, and 2 guys fully dressed in their suits were in the water taking pictures. Until security came up and said, "You guys have to leave."
Wow.
Like, but they were just there in their jackets and hanging out. The full photo shoot. And like no permission, no nothing. I sent that to those. They
have actual cameras. Or were they doing with iPhones and shit?
iPhones.
Whoa.
But that's why, like, it made these 2 guys just like chilling in the pool, and there was some girl like sitting on a chair taking pictures of them. Like it was so odd. But it was definitely like.
Doesn't it feel like it's one thing if you see like a chick doing it because it's almost like it's more acceptable. It's acceptable for like lesbians, but not the other.
I think they were gay, so maybe then it was more acceptable, right?
People are gonna think I really hate gay folks on here,
yeah.
but no, but you see like dudes like because when I started following that Instagram or influencers in the wild, like you see these guys like flexing and shit, and there was this one where this dude was trying to figure out where to do with his feet while he was leaning up against a car like 4 days ago.
I didn't see that.
Dude, I laughed my ass off because he looks so insecure about himself.
It's so ridiculous. Yeah. I know what you mean though. Like you take out your camera and you hide it so people don't see it. Or like you ever like you're riding down the street, you're like, oh, this would be a good shot, and you pull over on your bike. And you want to take a picture of the bike, but then you want to make sure there's no cars around so nobody sees you pulling out your phone to take a picture. I do that with my bike or my car or something like that. I'm like, that's a good spot. I'll take a picture. And then you hide from people. Yeah, I get it.
See, sometimes though I have my big camera, I have a Canon. So when I'm pulling that out, I feel like people are like, oh, he's a photographer.
Yeah.
But I feel like when you're with your phone, it's just kind of like, what are you doing, dude? You know what I mean?
You're that guy.
Yeah, so I don't know. But no, I got the drone, man, because I was planning on this whole vlog thing that still maybe one day it'll come to fruition. I don't know. But I just wanted to be able to find a way to do everything myself. And so like if I was doing this trip to New York and I was going through a part that maybe I could throw the drone in the air to follow me a little bit.
Are you going alone to New York?
I planned on it. But I was meeting up with friends in New York. I was going to stay with a customer and a friend of mine. Which sucks because like he goes by Fro Rider on Instagram, but he's graduating law school in May, at the end of May, and then he was going to spend his whole June before he starts in July at this law firm writing the whole like. So I was going to meet him in Baltimore and stay with another friend. Then we were going to go to New York, hang out in New York for 3 days. He was going to show me all the spots, and then we were going to ride to Cape Cod. And then Cape Cod up into Maine, Mount Washington, Laconia.
Oh, that sucks.
Western New York, all that shit.
That sucks, man. That's such bad timing. And if he's in New York, like Manhattan.
Yeah, he's in what is he in? Oh, he's in Harlem up there. So I guess.
Okay, so he's New York. Yeah, he's Manhattan. He's like on the island.
Yeah. And so.
And you've never been to New York, right?
Never.
Oh, it's fucking amazing. You don't want to go there now, but it's like it's the greatest city ever. It really is the best city.
Well, and I don't I'm pretty sure that it's everything that I've put it on this pedestal to be. But I think what I was stoked to go alone, meaning I wasn't taking anybody from Dallas here with me, but meeting him showing me, because he's a local, him showing me the city through his day-to-day grind, all the people that kind of like fuck with the podcast, like we were going to meet up with a lot of people. But see, it all kind of goes, it's all shit out the window if it doesn't happen in June, because he goes to work in July or, whatever the postpone will be. And then that's off the table. So like that experience with this dude, is kind of like something that might not happen now. And I'm more bummed about that because I know I'll be able to go to New York at some point, but I might not get to do it with him this way. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of bumming me out.
Sucks.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that sucks. New York's not bad. I mean, it's 4 or 5 hours away from here.
That's it?
If you do it,
How far are you from Niagara?
Us from Niagara?
Yeah.
We're far because Niagara is under Toronto.
Oh, so you're further north?
We're literally right on top. In New York, you go straight up on a mat, straight north. We're about miles, maybe 400 miles.
Oh, that's not bad.
You're looking on a map now?
Yeah, I am. Dude, I'm a huge nerd when it comes to maps, but it's
we're
I never
literally
lived in
like
Canada.
one road.
Yeah, one road straight down through Vermont, huh? Albany. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
straight into New York. The New York border is 45 minutes from me. And then we're straight down into Manhattan.
Where's the Okay, yeah, I see it now. At least you got good riding up there, man.
We have good riding.
One of my biggest goals in life is I always wanted to ride to Halifax.
Okay.
Up there. I don't know if there's anything cool there, but just like it just seems like that kind of like super far spot to get to. You know,
Halifax? Or you're talking on the super East Coast?
Yeah, yeah.
You're talking about like New Brunswick, Nova Scotia.
Yeah, yeah.
PEI. Yeah. We rode New Brunswick. I mean, there were some nice parts, but a lot of it was kind of flat.
For real?
There was some beautiful scenery, but a lot of it was like Vermont. You know, if you're going to come up here, ride Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. There's such nice roads, like just fucking amazing mountain roads that are really, really good. Yeah. And we have good riding here, but anywhere you live, you get tired of the same riding. You know, you have your regular 5, routes that are good, and you have the one when you don't have a lot of time. You have the one when you have a whole day, but you end up doing the same things all the time. Yeah, for us, it's like that. And you go. That's what's shit about all this stuff going down is like my season is already only 3 months, 4 months. Mm-hmm. Well, I might lose a month. So it's really like shitty.
Bikers in the Northeast are going to be some ferocious people on social media this year. I can only imagine like having Will race glide and like those dudes over there in Boston like not be able to have a good riding season. They need to let off that steam.
But that's it. Nobody's gonna have good riding seasons this year. Like it's still early. Like it's still April 1st today. Our riding season doesn't really start. I always feel like my riding season starts just before Laconia. Like that's the kickoff. Yeah. And then I have June, July, August, September. That's about it. For good riding where it's warm enough that you're not bundled up. Like I'll ride in cold. Like I think, like I said, today was probably 50s. Like I would have gone for a small ride today.
50s, I'm good with 50s. I'm good with 50s, and I would only I usually wouldn't leave the house in 40s just for a stroll. But if it was part of the trip, I would totally do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So when you do a big trip, does rain slow you down?
No. Well,
keep going.
You don't really have a choice, man. Like, and that's part of the experience as well. Like going through rainstorms and the elements that come at you, because a lot of times, especially like if you're not in a position to dictate how long you get to spend on your trip, sometimes our trip, I hear people talk a lot like, oh, when I go on trips, I don't like to plan anything. I just like to live by the seat of my pants, and that's not really. It might work for some people, but it doesn't work for me. Like if I'm trying to go spend time with my friends in, say, NorCal, I have to plan that out because they're busy motherfuckers as well. So I need to be there the day I said I was going to be there so that they can make the time to do the things that we're going to do together. Otherwise, I'm kind of being an asshole and expecting people to drop everything once I get there. You know what I mean?
Living up here in the Northeast, we get rain. And because our riding season is so short, if we're planning like, a weekend ride, like a 3-day ride, 4-day ride to get away, and it looks like rain for 2 days, like I definitely have the friends who won't go and don't want to ride in the rain. But then I have another friend who I ride with who I feel like every time we go anywhere, it's always raining. Every trip he goes on, it rains on him. But I'll do it. It won't stop. I mean, look, if we look at the weather and it's supposed to be 3 days of rain and we're gone for 3 days, maybe we wouldn't do it. But, I'll do a day and a half for like.
So a great example of that is like when Steve did his up north campout last year, it rained out. But if you ask anybody that went to that campout, they would tell you they had the time of their life.
Yeah, I saw those pictures.
So it's not so much like, yes, the rain could throw a fork in the mix of certain types of things for an experience, but what it boils down to is like you're doing some rad shit with your homies and you're going to make the best of it. Even if it's just talking shit about the situation at hand over a beer or a Starbucks, whatever you're into, you know what I mean? So it's,
You had to throw the Starbucks shot because now the performance bagger, it's like Starbucks has become part of the thing now.
Yeah, exactly.
The White Claw and the Starbucks? Which is
White
worse?
The White Claw, it's all gay. It's super gay. The thing is,
I don't like that White Claw shit.
No, that's
not
just-
at all.
that shit needs to stay. That shit needs to get killed by that COVID-19 shit for sure.
That's your boy. That's Steve. That's his claim to fame. He's the poster child.
I feel like it. Yeah, that's it. Like that's the the White Claw is the goddamn Joe Exotic of last summer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're hoping it goes away this year, and
Exactly.
But it's amazing how he started drinking it, and it's become the drink of the scene. Like it's a joke. Like people joke around about like how this is like our drink.
Yeah,
Like you and I can set the record straight. This is not our drink.
it's not happening.
No, I agree. This is not our drink. We're not into it.
Quit it, nerds. No, but like I said, the rain thing is a part of the. It's part of the experience, and some trips, you just got to deal with it. I mean, if you're making it, usually when you go on a long ride, though, it's impossible for it to rain the whole time. The odds are not in your favor because you're going far enough to get through different rainstorms. If you're going to stay, like for instance, when I rode to LA last February and I did the podcast with Big Bear and I did the ones in Vegas, it rained in LA the entire time I was there. It sucked. I rode to LA and I wanted to go to do the normal LA shit and I didn't get to, but I also needed to decompress for 2 days before I rode back home. So it was kind of a perfect little thing. You know what I mean? So
when we do ride, the rule is always don't look at the weather. Like we're a group of guys and there's always somebody in the group saying, oh, it's going to be this. It's like, okay, stop looking at the weather. I don't want to hear about it. And I won't look at the weather until I leave because I'm going no matter what it says.
Yeah.
Shitty or not, I'm going. So I'd rather just roll the dice and just hope for the best, and you pack all your gear.
I remember the first big trip I ever took on a bike. It was on my big wheel, but a group of friends here in Dallas invited me to go to a bike week in Panama, which is in October sometime. It's like Panama Bike Week. It's in like the Panhandle of Florida. Okay. And so we went there. It was like the beginning of October. It's like the 3rd or some shit. So it's still hurricane season, right? So we get there. We have a good like weekend there. And then we literally got chased out by a hurricane. Like we're riding down 10, crossing into like a Pensacola and Mobile. And I had these really rad ass shots. And I think I'm going to post them this week because it's part of that story that I want to put out there. These really badass shots of like this massive cell behind us that's kind of coming in. And it literally poured on us from Pensacola, Florida, all the way till it rained on us all the way till Shreveport, Louisiana, which is, two states over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just part of it, though, man. And
it's part of the experience.
And all the other dudes with me had on rain suits, and I just fucking rode and then dried off by the nature of it.
Microwave. Put your clothes in the microwave; it'll drive it.
Yeah, I get. I would probably, if I knew I was going to go through some massive storms, kind of thing, I would probably I can't tell you how many times I stopped at Walmart and bought some frog togs. You know what I mean? But they rip really easy once you get in the wind. So usually by the time I get out of the storm, I don't need them anywhere. They go in the trash.
Yeah,
fucking $15.
I always keep rain gear on my bike. I burn a hole in the pants from my pipe almost every single pair of pants I buy.
Yep.
And I keep it in there all the time because, and it's like as soon as it starts raining, you're doing everything to try not to put it on. But riding in a full face is a million times better than when I used to ride with a little fucking helmet because rain in a tiny little helmet is awful. It's like pins hitting you on your skin. And the bikes don't ride that bad in the rain. I mean, it's a little more slippery, but it's not that bad.
I've had my current Road Glide. It started to get flooded out one time going through a massive storm. It was just taking in too much water.
What kind of air filter do you have on it?
I got the Harley, the elbow, the 90-degree elbow. Scream, not the retarded new Screaming Eagle they came out with. That looks like a fucking Honda Civic air cleaner hanging off the side of the bike. But no, like the other one.
Did you have a rain sock?
Yeah, I do. I had it on there. It still was so much. The only other one I don't really want to plan for is if I have to go ride through super cold weather. So like when I came back from that Cali trip and it was 24 degrees, I didn't want that situation. You know, I just
you can enjoy that.
It's not enjoyable, but
no.
I can tell you what I did now as a rider that's done it. Anybody else that gets caught in that, I can give them advice like, yo, this is what I did. This is how I made 560 miles in 24-degree weather without like, you know, fucking heated gloves and vests and all that shit, you know? Because no matter how much shit you got on, that cold air starts to penetrate. And you're up north, so you deal with this kind of weather way more than I do. But, you know,
you just got to have the right – you have to have the right gear. It's actually, in my opinion, it's all about the right like thermals that you're wearing. That's the biggest thing. Like I call it my superhero suit, and it's whatever I'm wearing under, and it's all the skin tight, the dry fit stuff, and like that makes the biggest difference out of everything. Yeah, for sure. And and like in riding in the cold, if you're dressed for it, you can still really enjoy it. Yeah. You know, but you have to be, you know, whenever you go on a trip, any bike trip, you have to have rain gear, you have to have cold weather gear. I always have this comment. Fucking George does the same thing every time we go away. It's like it'll be middle of summer, and he won't pack his cold weather shit. And then we go, and he doesn't have, he's like, he rides that stupid bike with his big bars, and he's always getting wind on his chest, and he's always cold. I'm like, well, why didn't you pack your cold weather stuff? He's like, oh, well, it was 75 degrees when we left. Like, every bike trip we go on, it could be the middle of summer, we get hit with cold. Just pack it. Like, it's so much easier.
That's how Sturgis is, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, Sturgis is like, you pack for all the seasons in the same week because it's gonna you're gonna sweat your balls off. You're gonna get hell. You're gonna be stuck in the hills one day at night trying to get through it, and it's freezing in those fucking things in the middle of the night. Like you get it. Yeah, like
people need to like if you're gonna ride these bikes, expect to ride in the rain, expect to ride in the cold. That's the good thing about riding these baggers. You can keep all your shit in your bike all the time.
Yep.
You know, I don't know about you, but my bags are always a mess and they're packed. And then I'll see a guy and he opens his bag and they're spotless and there's almost nothing in there.
Yeah, it's still got the book that came with it.
Yeah, I don't get it. I'm like, I'm not even on a trip. It's just Saturday and I went out for a ride and both my bags are filled to the top. Yeah. Like what's in there? I don't know. I have tools. I have a rain suit. I have another sweatshirt. I have a hat. I have like a million things. And then all the time, that's how I keep my bike. But that's why we ride these bikes.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, like when I do my trips, like I try to optimize the space, and that way I can take, you know, a lot of times it ends up being a tent, closed for a week, and then like, even though I have a smaller podcast set up, you know, like with small microphones and shit, like you just, like for me, I have to pack a lot of shit in a small space and stuff and get crafty, if you will, to try to get through the whole situation. So
do you find when you put a bag on the back of your bike strapped down, you feel a wobble? You ever notice that?
No, not on mine.
Okay. I've noticed that on bikes before. When I have something heavy sitting on top of it.
Yeah, I haven't had that. When I rode to California this last year, we were going through some Colorado, and I was starting to, you know, this is like 3 weeks after I put all the suspension on, had it dialed in, and I was trying to take these corners fast. I mean, this is really the first time I got to put them on real corners once we got in Colorado. And I was having like a shimmy, and I was kind of like doubting the suspension for a while until we got to Reno, and we got with your buddy Von Metal. And
oh yeah,
and
did you grind your teeth on the pavement? That's Will's buddy.
That's Will's buddy. Yeah,
yeah.
No, he's a good dude, man. He actually helped us out a lot. But I ended up buying I needed a new front tire, man. I've been running the Commander 2s on my bikes mainly.
Yeah,
and the Dunlop that came on it, you know, I was at like 15,000 miles, 16,000 miles. And it was just kind of starting to cup real bad in some spots. And put that new tire on there and then went over through South Lake Tahoe and down the mountain into Sacramento. And it fucking rode like a dream. Just carving. Yeah. That experience, that stretch of road from South Lake Tahoe to, I'd have to quote the actual road that I took, but it's a downhill, like very like high speed kind of, not necessarily cornering, but just you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
big sweepers.
We were just, dude, it felt like I was on rails that whole thing. And there was no cars out there either. So and there was 3 lanes on each side. I was just like, fuck. I felt like Sea Bear, like doing burnouts over the whole road back and forth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, those are the see. I don't like. Not that I don't like. I don't like as much the roads that are super technical and twisty and windy through mountains. I like the bigger sweepers, the high speed roads where I want the big curves, but the hairpin turns and the stuff like that, where you're going, full on and then full stop, full on, full stop. I enjoy them, but I really much prefer the big sweepers and the high speed roads. And
I remember that same trip when we ended up going north of San Francisco to like Bodega Bay, and then we rode the coast down back into San Francisco, and we ended up catching a Ducati that was hitting those roads too, and we were fucking dipping them. And PCH all the way up, all of it is like it's hairpins the whole way. It's a very tight, not a lot of sweepers, not a lot of speed. And if you're ever lucky enough to get any stretch of road without the fucking SUVs and the motorhomes going down the road, then you can actually enjoy that ride. And dude, we were getting in these corners, man.
Have you rode Big Bear?
Big Bend?
If you've been to Big Bear in LA, Big Bear Mountain.
Is it crazy?
You should. It's crazy. It's so nice. It's like, it's technical, but it's not too technical. There's a lot of sweepers. Like you could go from Kevin's shop, from San Bernardino. It's kind of the start of it. And you go up to the top of Big Bear, and you could go back down towards Vegas, or you could go back down towards LA. But it's amazing, the roads there. Mulholland is great because it's all these tight canyons and stuff like that.
I didn't really like Mulholland.
It's slow.
There's a lot of houses on that fucking thing and a lot of cops. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we went up into the mountains, and it was okay. It was good, but it's like, the problem is you make a mistake, you're going off a cliff.
Yeah.
So it's really pretty, but you're not going to overdo it. But like Big Bear, it's a really, really nice ride. It's a good hour. You're in the mountain maybe an hour and a half of just big sweepers and turns and technical. Like it's beautiful. Like next time you do LA, I highly recommend it.
I want to do that in Angel's Crest as well. The only other one, like there's a road we take a lot when we're coming to or from San Francisco down, is this pass. I don't know the name of it, but it's like it kind of cuts you through the mountains over Santa Barbara and back over to the 101 to go north. And man, it's like, it's not as busy. It's got a fair amount of technical tight turns and long sweepers, and there's never a whole lot of people on the highway. It's one of my favorite ones there. But when I think it for sure, I'm going to ride back to Cali. I don't know the extent of my trip for Cali this year, but I really want to go towards like San Diego, and I want to go ride through that. Man, it's a gym, man. I've never really been down there till January this year when I went there with the wife, and the whole time.
In San Diego?
Yeah, San Diego.
I love San Diego. It's beautiful.
It's so nice, man.
The city is so nice. It's such a nice city.
Yeah.
I always said if I could live anywhere in the States, it'd be San Diego.
I dig it. And that whole stretch between San Diego and like Huntington Beach, like it's a nice little highway drive. I dug it.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be boring, flat fucking fields. And when we drove it, I was like, man, I never felt like we left the cool shit. You know what I mean? It just kind of blended into it. So
it's just one big long stretch of kind of city. Like you don't get into the middle of nowhere. It's just city all the way up there.
It's fucking crazy, man.
But that was what I used to say that when I was younger. That my goal would be to move to San Diego, like anywhere from Huntington Beach to San Diego, just anywhere along those beach towns. That's like small, not small. I don't want to be in LA. Like LA's fun, but I wouldn't want to live there. Yeah. But just like those smaller beach towns, they're so nice. Just the vibe is so good. That's what I like about it.
So my wife's aunt lives in Venice Beach, and like she's been a local there for 25, hell, way more than 25 years, probably 30 some years, since like the 80s or late 70s. So she's seen the transitions and stuff. And but when I'm there, man, like I feel like I'm in some serious place. Like this place is legit. Like they make TV shows about this area. Yeah, I love it. I love being there, man. I know that I could never afford to be there as a biker. You know what I mean? Of any kind. Yeah. But it's so dope being there. And I have a hard time saying that, like, I loved being in San Diego, but I also really love the vibe of being in, like, Venice Beach. And my wife's from Santa Clarita, which is just north of everything there. And I like it there because it's just out of the fucking rat race. But you can get to it real quick, I would love to.
I don't know how much you like New York. New York is, like, as intense as a city as you get.
Yeah.
Like it's so alive. Like LA and New York are so different because like New York is just it's 24/7 on.
Yeah.
You know, not like it no matter what time, no matter where you are, it's just so alive all the time. There's so many people everywhere you go, which is what I love about New York. You know, it's just I love a big happening city,
Mm-hmm.
and LA is so spread out, and
Yeah.
I guess I don't know it well enough.
Yeah, see, that's the thing about LA is that, like, if you're like me and you grew up on like rap culture, you never know what street you're allowed to go down and shit like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's like there's just so many different areas, just like there's in New York. Like you go to New York or city, and you got Harlem, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, all these different things, and it's just like that in LA where you have the same things, but it's just so far spread out. And
yeah,
it all kind of looks the same, to be honest with you. Like it's hard to
yeah.
tell where Compton starts and fucking, you know, fucking. I'm drawing blanks right now. Fucking Compton's just a go-to, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
But
fucking.
I know what you
literally
mean. The thing is about New York. New York it's a tiny little island. Like Brooklyn and Queens, these places are off the island, but I mean they're just across the bridge. But like New York is the same thing like LA, where you'll see a million things that you've seen in TV and movies, but it's concentrated on one tiny island that you could pretty much walk in a day.
Yeah.
That's what's really, really cool about it. And there's some cool spots that I go to every time, and I really, really like that city.
I was looking forward to doing some night riding. My buddy Isaac Fro, he was talking about, you know, he's going to take me on a night ride through there. And I just thought, dude, I bought a fucking $1,700 camera lens so I could take better shots at night while I was there. You know what I mean? Like I was really preparing for this. I financed.
Yeah. It's okay.
Dude, as much money as I spent on camera shit the last 6 months, I could have had another sick ass FXR like my last one. But no, I was really trying to gear up for this trip and to really capture it the best way possible, get some really rad shots.
Move it to the end of the season. Like you might not have as much time with that guy, especially if he's starting law school. Like starting as lawyer, he'll be working a shit ton.
Yeah.
But you know, you instead of spending so many days there, you spend a couple days there and just kind of plan trips. And people come up to Montreal, like hang out here for a few days. There's so many places to go.
If I can get over the
Oh,
border,
you
I
can't
totally
cross
would.
the border.
I've been on probation for a year and a couple months. I think it's 5 years, or you got to apply for some kind of like a.
Yeah, you need a pardon like to cross the border.
It's
Yeah.
fucking retarded, man.
Yeah.
I totally want to ride, you know, all that shit. So, but for me, it was like this year was supposed to be now. Going back to what we were saying earlier, I was gonna do Daytona and do the Keys and all that shit, and I didn't do it. And I feel like I should have took that opportunity, because now I am like wishing I can get on a bike, and I had an opportunity to go and I didn't do it. You know, and who knows?
I rode the Keys. I mean, you'll do it once, you won't do it again. There's so much
That's
traffic going down there.
I'm sure, you know.
So much. There's one cool. What is it? That 20-mile bridge, the 11-mile bridge. There's one crazy long bridge that's really, really pretty. But Florida has one turn.
Yeah.
Like literally top to bottom. There's one turn in the entire state. But I mean, you know what? And I hated on Daytona last year. You know that. Like I came back. I'm like, fuck, I'll never go back to Daytona. But then this year, when everybody was down in Daytona, I was like, fuck, I wish I was there. Like I so wished I was there hanging out with everybody, because it's not the riding is great, but it's also seeing everybody.
That's it, man. It is one of those deals. Like you have to, you can't kid yourself and think that the great riding is the fix all to great times and relationships with friends. Dude, just sometimes the shittiest places make some of the coolest memories. Dude, I got some great memories from Daytona that I still talk about today. Like Jeremy from Lucky Strike, he just came out with a really sick ass bagger. And Hawkeye, fuck, I forgot his actual name. He goes by Hawkeye Customs. I did that Donald Trump helmet for him.
Okay, yeah. They were all down in Daytona.
Yeah, his bike is sick, and he, you know, I took my bagger there in 2018. And then they both were looking at it, and they dug them, and then now they both built one, and I think they both built some sick ass bikes.
There were some nice bikes. When I was there last year, there was my bike and Kyle's bike.
Yeah,
that's it.
And that's when Kyle's came out, right?
Yeah, that's when the bike came out, and that's the first time I met him. I showed up at the tent, and then this year you saw Monty's bike. Monty's bike is really,
then it
really
fell
nice.
over, right?
The day he finished the bike, loaded on the trailer. I don't even think it was finished. I think him and Kyle finished it on the way to Daytona. They did final assembly on it.
Mm-hmm.
He took it off the trailer. He had it in front of the tent. He went to Home Depot to take a shit. He came out. The bike got knocked over.
Wow.
Poor guy. Poor guy. The bike wasn't even a day old.
People do not like T-bars.
No. It was an old guy, and then there was nobody there. The cops showed up. Eventually, the guy came back, and he apologized and everything, but he was heartbroken. And that bike, too, has tons of work and tons of detail. Like, every bolt on that bike is done.
So did he accidentally knock it over? Or did he?
No. I don't know. I really have no idea what happened. I don't think he knew, and I think he was so upset when it all happened. He didn't ask the old guy. He was like, it was this little frail old guy.
Oh,
like, he didn't want to like give the guy shit and start yelling at it. The guy came back and said, "Look, it was an accident. I'm really sorry." But the bike was literally not even 24 hours old.
That sucks.
But he still won, I think, at the baddest bagger.
Nice.
I think he still won in the performance category.
That's good. Yeah, because when I talked to Yaffe about it, like he said he was going to add a performance class, but he also said that it was going to be for his like SRT bikes, and I'm like, that's not a performance bagger, bro. Like, I don't think you're getting this.
But I saw the pictures from the show. It doesn't look like they had as many bikes this year.
You know what show had a lot of bikes was the fucking Hardcore show, Hardcore Cycles.
Oh, did it?
I
don't think I saw anything on it.
Bunch of bikes in that little setup. You know what I mean? A bunch of them.
Yeah.
The dude, Mark Norton, he has that gray CVO. He ended up doing real well. I think he won that show.
I feel like this is the first time where people actually met this guy.
Yeah, he's a cool dude though.
He's super low key and he doesn't show it. And then in Daytona, he was there for like a day and a half.
Yeah,
but he did the shows and then he fucked off. And like that.
So we've been doing that Dyna for him. He's building.
Yeah, I was gonna say
crazy Dyna, and so we finished the paint job before it to. I mean, we finished the paint work. We got it to him, but it was a lot of work to make that bike ready for Daytona. But the fairing, that fucking RT fairing is so big, it got damaged really bad in shipping. So it's literally downstairs right now, getting repaired. Sucks. Dude, it's. I fucking hate painting those fairings, dude. I really do.
Yeah, you were saying you had issues with that fairing.
Lots of them, and I hate painting those fairings because they're so big, and they're and they're not an inner and outer shell that you can take apart and handle both separately.
Oh, it's just one big thing.
It's one big thing that you have to paint cohesively all together as one thing, and it's really hard to work around such a large object. You know what I mean? That like if you could separate the two, it'd be so much different, so much better, but you can't. So it's a nightmare. And I have 5 going on right now.
Oh, so Midwest Grinder has one too.
Midwest Grinder has one. We're actually waiting on the lowers from TOL. My buddy Isaac, the Fro Rider, we're supposed to be doing his Dyna. He's got one. I have a repair for my homie at the Spilt Milk Leather guy out in Huntington Beach area. And then Covington Customs is actually building a all-out Lowrider S this year. So they're, I went up there and painted a couple bikes, and I've been hanging out with Dave. Big wheel or not, those dudes build some fucking quality
their big wheels
bikes.
Are top notch.
Quality bikes, and that family as a whole are some people I'd really admire in the industry. And so when I was up there for the week that I went there to paint those bikes, man, I stayed in Jerry's house, got to hear all his thoughts on politics every night. It was a great time. You know what I mean? I got to really see this family's, that pumps out some of the nicest shit out there. I mean, this dude is in Daytona this year selling $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 baggers still. You know what I mean?
Still.
Can't hate that. You know?
No, the guy's he does beautiful bikes though. And they're not ghetto flashy. I mean, they're flashy. Every big wheel is flashy, but they're not like some. I don't know how to say it. Like
tasteful.
They're tasteful. Exactly, they're tasteful, and they're as performance looking as a big wheel could be.
Exactly. So one of his good customers, his best customers, and a good friend of mine that's been getting helmets done for the last couple of years, wants me to do this lowrider, and so Dave is like going through, and he's like trying to like engulf the performance motorcycle scene. And see how he can add his flavor to it, and that's what I want to see happen with shops. Like I want to see all these big wheel shops that have built some nice bikes. Like we saw DA Performance Baggers have been kind of dabbling in this. I want to see those shops start to kind of apply their skill, knowledge, and creativity to this new genre of bikes that's on the market now. And so I'm excited about that. I think this year, or maybe 2020.1 update 1 is going to be like
2020.1. Yeah.
Is going to probably be the year we see a lot more shit. We just got to like, this is a leap year. It don't count fucking anyway. So
yeah, I know it sucks. It really sucks. But yeah, I think you're right. Because I was having the kid, I didn't want to do too much to the bike this year.
Yeah.
And I was considering selling it. And I had my tank done by Lone Star from Larry. So I had my tank done. That's going to go on the bike. I'm still waiting on my fairing. I'm going to say that. I told Curtis today that I'm going to tell everybody that I'm getting my fairing next week, so I could post it up on my on Proper Bagger so people could see the finished quality.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm supposed to be getting that really soon. I'm waiting a year and a bit for that. So, but they do exist, these fairings.
Yeah.
They're just slow to come out. And I did that and brake mods, and like I really, really want to do paint. I can't commit.
So the crazy thing is, I've never really been a huge fan of the carbon thing, but since I've done my recent helmet and I've been trying to train myself to see paint jobs where I'm exposing carbon still, I've got like some killer ass paint jobs for carbon bikes, right? But Hoffman has the outer fairing, but some other company has the lowers that I'm talking about that I love.
Yeah. Yeah.
But nobody has the tank, and I don't want to wrap my whole tank the way that Kyle's having to do because it's just not feasible. I don't know. This is kind of stupid, but I could have swore I said something to Hoffman about this when he was here at our party. I was like, why won't someone just make carbon fiber shells that we can panel bond onto the tank? You know what I mean?
But I think that he is working on something like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's no different than you taking carbon fiber and putting resin on the tank and gluing the carbon fiber to the tank. This is actually way more better and easier. And you're not really adding that much more weight to it. It's carbon. Just the resin will probably weigh.
You're not. You know what's funny? So when I did my knee cutouts, my plan was to do like Kyle did. I was going to do the knee cutouts in carbon.
Yeah.
So he was maybe going to do it for me, and then I'm like, no, maybe I'm going to try it myself. And then in the end, I got it. And right next to my building is a shop that does Corvette parts, and they do carbon fiber in-house. So I was talking to him about doing carbon inlays for me.
Yeah.
And so he's like, yeah, you could do it. He's like, but he's like, you have to vacuum seal it and the whole story. He's like, so you can't, you'd have to hand lay it and sand it the way Kyle did it. And then he said to me, he's like, but why are you doing it? I'm like, oh, the rest of the bike is I have a lot of carbon fiber parts, and I figured it'd be cool. He's like, but isn't the point of you doing carbon fiber parts to make your bike lighter? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, so why are you doing it cosmetically to make it look better? And I'm like, because it's cool and it'll look better. Like I had no answer. So after I had that conversation with him, I hung up the phone. I'm like, fuck, I'm just gonna fucking paint it and put it on. Because I really wanted to do the inserts or carbon shell, but it's not. Like, doesn't that defeat the point of what we're doing in a way? Like paint, I get doing crazy paint, but then a carbon part, and Kyle, don't be mad at me for saying this, but like it's like it's not real.
Yeah. Well,
so what's the point?
Yeah, what would be nice is if we got more options for the little small trinkets that could be in carbon, which I don't understand why.
There's so many little parts that, and I spoke to Curtis about making like a horn. How come nobody makes a carbon fiber horn cover?
Yeah,
like it's a nothing part that could be cheap to make and like cheap to sell. Like Curtis sells more. We say Curtis a million times. Maybe we should say Hoffman. It's better advertising for him. But Hoffman sells a ton of front fenders and dashes because it's the cheapest thing he offers.
Yeah.
So like little parts like a horn cover, people should make stuff like that. The little, on our road glides, under the fairing, you have that little piece just above the forks.
Yep. Easy.
It's a nothing piece, and these are all pieces he's supposed to be making or talking about making, but like, people should make these little parts there, and it seems like everybody's jumping on the carbon fiber game.
They are. Well, I think right now, like, with this coming up year, whether it's this year or 0.1 next year, I think that like with more people, especially after Kyle's bike comes out and a couple other people, we'll see what Speed King does. I know that Lucky Dave's is building a performance bagger right now. I know that San Diego Customs is going down doing some more shit to that bagger they're doing. there's plenty of more people coming out that's, you know, this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the ultimate flex to me is like a fucking, like what I would consider something for $10,000 out of my shop paint wise on some $10,000 worth of body work. Like that's shitting on every fucking crazy. Like perform or big wheel bagger money pit thing you've ever seen. You know what I mean? That's all, that's also the other weird thing about performance baggers is that once you start tallying it all up, you're in the same arena. You know, you're still spending 30 grand, 20 grand, 40 grand on these bikes, depending on how deep you want to go into them, you know?
Yeah. You're more, I always said I spent way more on this bike than on, you know, my big wheel. And it gets to a certain point, like where I am, where I'm just swapping out one part for another part.
Yeah.
Oh, this came out. That's really cool. I want this. And then you swap out, you know, people's parts for each other. I would love to do paint. Like, I would love to do something crazy. I don't know. I feel like I can't commit. What do you have to say to people like me who can't commit to one paint, which is why my bike is still black?
Well, if I didn't paint for a living, my bike would look just like Justin from My Machinist, because that's like two of my favorite colors. I love purple on just about everything of mine, and gray is my favorite color, right? Yeah. So that's what I would do if it was up to me. But paints, you know, maybe on the same note, but a little bit off what you're asking. If you're somebody that's if you're trying to start, like say you're a YouTuber, you're somebody that's trying to put your shit on the map. My bike gets shared more than a lot of other people's bikes, right? My bikes in general, like the paint, that it you know, that maybe that with the course of like also taking decent pictures of it, you know what I'm saying? But I get a lot of shares of my bike all the time because it's not a stock looking bike. Even though compared to your bike, it's very stock. My bike's very stock compared to yours. I got a pipe, air cleaner, rotors.
But if an average person saw our two bikes, they might think yours is more custom than mine because of your paint.
Exactly. So it's kind of like, you got to understand, like Instagram is a visual game. Nobody gives a shit about your dyno sheets. You know what happens when you post them in the sea of, you know, swipe left shit? Where's the next picture with color on it, faggot?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's true. That's true. Everybody posts their dyno sheet, but I want to see what the bike looks like. Yeah, you're right.
This is a place for visual stimulation, and you know, if your bike's a beast and it fucking do some crazy nice numbers, it runs like a motherfucker, then we'll see that whenever we meet up at a performance bagger meet at one of these events. You know what I mean? But for the meantime, if you want your shit to go viral, for us at least, you need it to look like something that's going to be appealing to people.
Are you getting more people reaching out for paint on these bikes?
No, because they can't afford it.
Yeah, it's big money. No, but it's not like I get it.
I say that like an asshole. It's not that they can't afford it. It's just that they haven't accepted the fact that just because it's still a factory bagger parts, that the work is not the same. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of great painters out there that are doing. That'll probably take a performance bagger look at things, and you know, they'll rock out some really crazy shit for $5 grand, $4 grand, even $3 grand in some places, depending on the economy or whatever. But to me, I look at you know, what I spend on a helmet is what I want to spend on a bike, and if I can't get the kind of money I need to spend that kind of time, then I'd rather not put that work out there.
Yeah. Well, the big wheel guys were spending that kind of money on paint.
Yeah, I mean. They were, and they probably still do here and there. But the thing is, like, I wasn't where I am now, paint wise, career wise, when I was doing big wheel stuff. So I never really got that kind of money. You know what I mean? But like I said, if I, you know, on average, like our helmet paint work starts at $1,500 now, right? And I've booked 4 of them in the last week at mainly $2 grand, because the ones with the faces on them are around $2 grand. So for a helmet paint job, I'm getting $2 grand. I can paint 2 helmets, and if I really had the idea and everything down, I could start both of them on Monday, and probably by the following Monday have both done. I could do those if I have everything work right, or I can paint your bagger that has 18 pieces and your tour pack that you just sent me because you decided you wanted one last minute.
Yeah, that's gonna take you a month.
Yeah, if that. Yeah. I mean, you know. For it to dry the kind of way it needs to dry, it'll take that kind of time. But then, you know, mostly, like, I could sell $7,000 paint jobs all day long. I mean, I kind of do. on the baggers, but it's you're for me at least, in the time I put it and the materials I use, I'm breaking very close to even after the amount of time it takes to do it. You know,
Yeah,
if you're a
I
business,
believe it.
yeah, if you're a business, and I don't have any employees like you do, but just for the sake of the actual business operations and materials, then every week costs money to have a business. So,
but it's everybody thinks like, let's say you say the helmet was $2,000, you get the 2 week $4,000, right? And some people are going to look at that and say, wow, that's really good money.
yeah.
But I'm looking at it and saying, well, no, there's so much labor, right? There's no way you work 9 to 5. You probably do 12-hour days.
Yeah.
So you're talking probably 60 hours labor, so 30 hours of labor right? If you just say a helmet is 30 hours labor, okay, what rate does a good mechanic charge? $80 an hour?
Yeah.
Right? Just labor.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's $2,400.
Yep.
No materials, no cost. It's not an artist. There's nothing creative about it. There's nothing. So like I look at everything, and then you have rent, you have your tools, you have your equipment, you have your leasehold improvements, you have all your loans. Like I look at it different than anybody else. Well, than a lot of people. And I can't tell you how many jobs we do for tens or $100,000 where I lose money on it. Do it all the time because nobody factors in the amount of labor and your overhead cost. People just look at a number and say $2,000. That's a lot it's not a lot when you think about the amount of work that goes into this stuff. So I get a bagger, you're going to lose money on it.
Exactly.
For sure, you're going to lose money. Even if you charge $15K, you'll lose money because if it takes you a month to do it, you did nothing but one bike for a month. Yeah. So you made $15K. Like I get it.
That's not good money in the business. Yeah. So, and that's really where I get a little weird because as a painter and as friends of everybody, I want to paint. I want to do shit for my friends. Like I want to be able to, like if you lived here, it'd be, I grew up hanging out with my friends in my garage, painting their shit for them, and they were buying the materials, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all those homies doing that shit. But so there's a part of me that wants to do that still. Like I want to do that, but I just, I have kids. I have fucking child support. I have all kinds of shit,
No, but you also have the name for it. Like, you might be one guy in a shop, but you're also like very known in what you do. So, I mean, there's a premium to that as well. You're a brand. Yeah. They didn't get their bike painted by Joe at the end of the street. They got their bike painted by Jace. You are a brand.
I appreciate that. It's a cool place to be, man, because like, when I first got in this industry, like being able to be at a point where, I am kind of sought after, that really feels like some kind of success. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't, like if you were to look at my, a lot of things on a social success standard, I'm probably not there, but the fact of just, being respected in the industry, that I think that's the kind of success that I think that a lot of people don't realize they want, but once they have it, everything feels okay. Sure. You know what I mean? For
sure. And what's really nice is that you're very, you're humble and you're appreciative of that success. You know what I mean? Like you're a cocky asshole in general.
Yeah.
But when it comes to your work and your art and your, I'm similar in my own life. Like, I don't really talk about what I have or what I do for a living or this and that. And, a lot of people, when they meet me in real life or they come to my office and they see what I have, they're like really impressed. And they're like, you don't talk about your work or you downplay a thing. I'm like, it's my work. It's like, you don't want to talk. It's like, that's where you make your living. That's your pride.
Yeah.
So you don't take that for granted. You know what I mean? Like I could be a cocky prick every day outside, you know what I mean? And want to ride the best bike and have the coolest cars. Like I could be that guy. Yeah. But when it comes to my work, that's my baby. That's a sensitive subject. You don't brag about that kind of shit. You have to be humble and appreciate everything you have. You appreciate your customers. You appreciate the smallest customer, the biggest customer, and never take it for granted.
See, I think a lot of people that don't really know me, that haven't known me for years, I grew up playing basketball, right? Where you had to know how to talk shit and try to back it up as much as possible, right? And then from basketball, I went into working in different shops with guys all day long that made gay jokes and talk shit to you about everything you do. So you have to learn how to stand up for yourself and talk shit back. It's part of like working in like certain types of environments or shops. In shops. And then the other thing is like, it's really hard. Like it's a real fine line when you're trying to sell yourself and you're trying to take any kind of positive reinforcement, any kind of compliments, any of that stuff. It's really hard because as a salesman, I have to be able to tell you, no, I don't do this and why. And it's always going to come off in a way that may be not as appealing as the Walmart personality you were expecting me to have. Yes, sir. No, sir. Have it your way, sir. You know what I mean? People want that when they're spending money, especially big money. But fortunately, because of the internet, like I said a million times in this podcast, I can weed out all the people that I don't think I'm going to vibe with. And you can ask, I don't get it, but I think that almost every customer I paint helmets for is somebody that I could sit around a campfire with and shoot the shit, and they dig me and I dig them, and they appreciated what I did and what we did, the work. You know?
Everyone, you could see it, but they post their helmets. They're constantly showing off their helmets, and they're like so proud of their helmets. It's like owning a piece of you. Like
that's what it is.
Yeah, of course it is. Like you put your heart and soul into every single helmet you did. Like when you say you're doing 5 for you, that's probably hard to say. Okay, I'm going to do 5 all exactly the same, because it's probably, it's not the same kind of artistry, because it doesn't have the same appeal.
It's not the same artistry in the sense that I'm not being as innovative on each one, but from a perspective of like I said, for me, this feels cocky to say, but people that seem to want a piece of our work, but maybe don't have the patience for one of our one-off helmets or the money for a one-off helmet. Now, don't get me wrong. This helmet that I'm going to do and sell for $1,500 each is still expensive, but it's $600 or $550 cheaper than the next tier up to do your own thing,
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? So it's one of those things, but like, the other thing about like when we do these helmets, like there's hours that are unrelated to anything I can really charge for at my house in my little garage office that I make drawing things. Like sometimes I put on my stories, it's fucking 12:30 at night. I got a beer right here because that's the only thing that calms all the things in my head so I can draw. And then I'm like balling up 10 sheets of paper trying to create some lines on the same canvas every night and make it different and make it cool. And that part doesn't really get the same because I'm playing with markers and they don't look at that like work. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
of course, that's your prep. That's all but that's involved in the hours of work that go into any helmet is all the hours you spend thinking about it. Like, can you charge? No, you can't charge for it, but it's still the same work. Exactly. There's no difference. You're not drawing it. You're thinking about it.
So that's why whenever, we get a lot of people that were like, hey, we want to do a helmet, but we don't want to do the crazy ones like you do. Well, there's also 40 other people that do want the crazy ones and are willing to pay the money. And that's why we have normally a 3 to 4 to 5 month waiting list. And so to me, I feel like it's a better place to be than playing this numbers game than just have a $1,500 here. And if you want the pictures, they're this much. And this includes the sketch and all the designs. Because I don't want to play that whole like, oh, you want the top tier metal flake job? That's another $50 upgrade. I don't want to play that. I want to do the best work I can put out for this tier, the 2-tier system that I offer for that period. That's it. And
so when somebody sends you the DM and the first thing they say is how much, that's not your customer?
No, I copy and paste the same thing I send to everybody that says that.
Okay.
I have a copy and paste thing where it says our helmets start out here. We do this. That basically outlines the first 4 questions, right? First 4 questions are how much, and if you just answer each question, it goes how much, and I say how much. And the next question is, does that include the helmet? No, it doesn't include the helmet. The next question is, okay, well, I want to get one now. So I got to let them know about the schedule and the time frame. And then once they're all cool with the time frame, the schedule, the deposit, and everything involved, the next question I ask them is, before we go through with this, what do you want to do to the helmet? I want to make sure that I want to do what you want.
Oh, nice. I like that. You're like, I want to make sure
Because prime example, a dude saw once again, my buddy Fro Rider, Isaac, he has the Muhammad Ali helmet that I did a couple years, like 2 years ago or something. And he took it to IMS in New York and somebody from upstate saw it and fell in love with it, hit me up. This is right when Kobe died. He wanted to do a Kobe tribute helmet. I was all about it. All about it, ready to take his money until he told me the color scheme it had to be, and I turned him down.
Really?
Yeah.
You just didn't think the colors work?
So I have an issue with painting. My helmets, I feel like, get their allure because of the colors and the way and the styles of paint I use. If I have to use your exact factory colors to match your bike.
Oh, he wanted to match the bike, yeah.
Which was blue and white. It's not a Kobe fucking helmet, bro. Gold and purple would look sick as a helmet. Let's do a Kobe helmet or fuck off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even and so I was like, you know what? Like, okay, I'm down to do the colors, but I don't want to do your factory Hayabusa colors to match. And he was like, man, I just, it has to match my bike. And I'm like, I want this helmet to mean something to you. I don't want you to think that it's an accessory to your motorcycle. It needs to be an accessory to you as a guy. Like, if you sell your bike, are you selling this Kobe helmet with it? Like, why would you match it? Like, I get it. If you want the colors to match, I get it. That's a battle I'm not going to win. You know what I mean? But if you let me use whites and blues that have pop and pizzazz, I can make this helmet look like what you are expecting from me. But if I have to use your colors, you might be disappointed in the fact that it doesn't get the same kind of. This is the new thing that no one understands. Some customers want their helmet to get as much attention and likes as the last helmet got. You get it?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. They want it to be the newest, coolest helmet.
So they want it to be the next viral thing on our small scale that
you
I
paint
put
it
out.
and they're like, how come you're not posting my picture of my helmet?
Yeah, and I usually, like, I try not to take any job that I'm not going to be proud to post afterwards. But certain color schemes aren't going to be as appealing as others. It's just, that's just the truth of it. And I feel bad for the ones that don't get the love that, say, the go-to colors always get. But fortunately, I don't really get the feedback from the customers. They're not like, oh, man, you fucking didn't do a good job on my helmet. You know what I mean?
No news is good news. He's shipping my helmet. You never hear from him again. That's good. That's how I always say that. No news is good news. Your new helmet, the one that you did for yourself, your carbon one.
Dude, that was a lot of work. That was a lot of work to figure out how to pull that off. I know
I was looking at it because I have the same helmet.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it going, that looks good.
So I did a carbon helmet last summer for another friend, and it was really the first one I ever did. And I wouldn't say that I didn't like the helmet. It was like at the time I loved it, but the more and more after I got done with it, I started finding like how I should have done this and should have done that. So it's that evolution of like paint work. And now that I've done this next one, I have Kyle's helmet coming up, which is a carbon helmet, which is a bell, which I'm not going to hold that against him.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I have two more carbon helmets coming up as well that I'm pretty stoked to do because I want to try to expand and get more skills in that stuff, but still have my look that I'm putting out there, you know? So it's tough.
I guess the difference with the carbon is you have to leave enough carbon so you can still tell it's carbon.
Yeah, so like if you imagine like most of our helmets start with a flaked out metal flake base coat, right? That's a very high mil thickness thing. So when you do a carbon, you have to pre-plot out where the carbon's going to be, put this shit down, tape it off so nothing gets on it, do all these other colors, and kind of you're starting from like the middle of the paint job and working both directions as opposed to starting at the beginning and going through it. And there's guys out there like Poland and a lot of other carbon helmet or helmet painters in general that have that shit down. I just haven't had a lot of practice with it, you know? Instead of practicing on customers' helmets, I felt like I owed it to myself to do one for myself and learn it. And then go from there. So,
but it came out fucking amazing.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
so considering that you're an artist, I have a question to ask you. Are you crazy? Because I feel like all good artists are crazy.
I don't think. I think I'm. When I think of artists, man, like I think of someone. I don't really like to put myself in that category.
You're definitely in that category.
I like to think of it more of a designing, like a skilled designer, you know, like art.
Yeah, I mean, I always say you can't go to school to learn to become a graphic designer. You either are a designer or you're not a designer. True. You can't be taught like what you do. You might be able to be taught how to do what you do, but it doesn't mean you can you can come up with the ideas like you do.
Yeah.
And then because they're your ideas, you want them to be so perfect. If somebody's saying, here, just make it look like that, you're going to do it, but you're going to do it quickly, and you're just going to try and get it done quick.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think you're wrong. You are an artist. Absolutely are an artist.
The crazy factor, though, it's, I don't know, man. I've never really, dug that deep into myself to try to understand where creativity comes from. You know what I mean? But that's the only question I don't really know how to answer, because I get it a lot. It's like, hey, man, how do you come up with these ideas? I'm like, dude, like, I don't know. Like, I guess I obsess over things so much that the creativity is
do you
kind
get
of
inspiration from other things? Like you're looking at something in a house or design in a house. You look at a building, you're like, wow, that would make a sick helmet. And
exactly.
just like,
I've always been, ever since I was a kid and I was into architecture, or going back before that, I was, I played basketball growing up. So in the 90s, like, shoes was life. You know what I mean? So I used to take shoes and repaint them and make them like shoes that you couldn't get. And this was back in the day before they had all kinds of really cool sneaker paint. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, we were doing that shit with fucking Krylon and, all kinds of stuff. But I like to take something that's already, like, I'm not the artist that created the canvas, right? I didn't create the motorcycle. But I am trying to take something that was already created and make it better. You know what I mean? Or say, for instance, like Kyle's bike, when he finishes it, I'll be inspired by that bike to do my own thing and maybe take it to the next level if my pocketbooks and patience are adequate enough to do that, I think that's the only difference is trying to I think that's what I am. I'm inspired by so many things, so many people.
Yeah.
And those things really are what help usher me into the directions and ideas. Like my machinist, Justin, his bike is plain and simple, but so inspiring to me. You know what I mean?
So nice.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful bike. And it's the color choice. But less is more.
Exactly.
On a lot of things, less is more. There's the two extremes. There's the bike with the mind-blowing paint job, and then there's the bike that has like Justin's bike that's so super and so clean and just like, because my bike, I think my bike is super flashy without paint.
Yeah.
It's definitely not in the less is more category because it's so over the top. So like there's a fine line there, like,
But I think that our industry, as far as the performance baggers are concerned, I think that we have a nice blend right now, especially moving into this new year where we have a blend of so many different styles. Now we're having more of the flashy shit start to come to age with like Kyle's work and the other baggers that are starting to pop out. And then we have that more kind of bones and grits kind of look with the carbon fiber and the more exposed parts and things like that. So to me, I think it just opens up a nice big window of opportunity for things to be different and not.
Well, you know what? A year ago when we were talking, all these bikes were black.
I did have a problem
really
with that.
Simple.
Yeah.
There was nothing. And back then you were saying, paint is going to have to come into the scene and be a factor for it to get to the next level. And we're seeing it now because now the biggest thing is paint. All the shops that are building bikes, nobody's just coming out with a bike that's fully built. Yeah. Everybody's coming out with a fully built bike with crazy paint.
Yeah.
Like black isn't good. It's not good enough anymore. It's not good enough to be a showstopper in these big, because they all look the same. We're all running the same parts.
Yeah.
We are.
That picture I took at Starbucks of all the Olins hanging off the back of the bike.
Yeah.
And other than mine and Kyle's bike, I think every one of them was black. Other than, Steve's was white. But, even like Poland did the bike for Horsepower Inc., that purple one with all the colors in it. Like that shit is what everything needs. Like for the industry to take a hold of it, every aspect of the industry has to have a financial gain from it, if it makes sense, for it to fully become the next movement. So, I'm actually
look, Harley followed suit. Yeah, because Harley's doing all these paint jobs now on these bikes, and some of them are not bad.
Yeah, dude, the new Harley schemes are so inspiring to me.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that like last year's Road Glide CVO was really the one that took the win for styling. You know what I mean? As far as like the number one thing, because I saw so many people recreate that kind of paint job and that vibe. I'm kind of over it now, but
Yeah.
What's that orange one that has like that graphic that kind of goes up at an angle, like completely goes against the
MAM or something like that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And then they've had some nice paint schemes that have been dropping over the last 2 years now. That dude, I'd be stoked to rock one of those. You know what I mean? There was some really nice baggers at the V-Twin Visionary show at Sturgis. I can't remember all the shops' names that were there, but there was some really nice paint jobs on some bikes. The fucking what's the Tucker Speed up there in that bike? I literally walked by it and thought it was an FXR, straight up.
Beautiful bike.
Yeah.
But that's what people are doing now. That's what's setting it apart, because the black bikes, they don't cut it like, and all of us, as much as we want to ride and we still want to look good at the gas station, we still want to do a show.
Yeah.
Because you might say, like, look, I am a prime example. All I want to do is I want to ride my bike, but I still have so much money into it. I want to park it. I want everybody to be staring at it.
Yeah.
And you're right. The only way I'll get that is with paint. I have gold on my bike, so the gold is flashy.
It's truly a multifaceted thing when you do that. You have the extremely fun bike to go rip around. You can throw your sissy bar on there or whatever, throw your shit in your bags, and you can go as many states over as you feel like. Take it to a show. Just it does everything. It's the 1-2 punch for the bike thing right now, and I think that's why a lot of the people on Dynas are starting to kind of upgrade to the baggers, especially now seeing like the people that are wheelie influenced, like they're going to the baggers. It's almost like a wheelie on a Dyna, no matter what you're doing, ain't shit anymore. So it's like they got to go to the baggers.
It's only getting bigger and bigger because, if you look at, like I said, Speed Kings is building a bagger. Jeff Holt now is building a bagger. Everybody's building a performance bagger, whether they fought it. Eventually, everybody came over. And a year from now, it's going to be even more mainstream, so to speak. And I don't know what's going to be the next trend, but this is a good trend because, I said last time, performance is never a trend.
Yeah,
nobody's going to say, how are we going to go?
That should be your headline. That should be your headline.
Performance is not a trend.
There you go.
I should change that on my page.
That's a good one.
It's actually not bad. I've always said that, but it's true. Performance doesn't go to style. Nobody's ever going to say, how are you going to go from saying, my own suspension is great, but an air ride would look really cool? Well, no, that's stupid. Like, how could you ever go down in performance? It's like in cars. When cars get better and better and better, you don't make them worse again.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'd be curious to see what the next trend is really going to be, because I couldn't even guess, and I don't see anything on the horizon. But it could be just because this trend is so new.
True, and it's going to be really hard to. I think that it's so foggy that far out to see, because I still feel like we're so fresh into this thing, right? And there's nothing else like on the horizon where you're like, oh, I could see that becoming something kind of big. You know what I mean? And like I said, when you got all the wheelie guys kind of transferring over to baggers now, you have Harley supporting the whole bagger thing. You got Indian doing whatever the fuck Indian's doing over there. I don't know. Paying people to ride their bikes, I guess.
I did see that bike in person, and I hated it.
Dude, it's
horrible. Did I tell you that? I fucking hated it.
Yeah, it's not bad. And don't get me started on that fucking bike. But
yeah, I didn't like it.
It's just... but it's still good that they did it, I guess. It's still good that they put it, because I would be super interested to see what happens with Harley if they felt any pressure, if they felt like they should, pull out a ace in the hole that they might have been holding back. I don't know. There's some things that they could do to the bikes to make them better, but I'm still completely content with mine the way it is. Like I would not trade my bike in for Indian regardless. And who the fuck wants to ride Fox shocks? Come on, down. Olin's are fuck off, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. No, I get it, and I wouldn't. I toy with the idea of, like, I'd like an ADV bike. I'd love an adventure bike and stuff like that. Me too.
I'll fuck with a BMW or a KTM all day long.
Fucking yeah! My buddy just picked up the new KTM, and it's got Apple CarPlay on the screen, and it works with your Bluetooth helmet. It doesn't have speakers, but the Apple CarPlay syncs to your helmet. You play it through your helmet. And the bike has 60 horsepower, something like that.
How much would Harley have killed the game if they would have dropped the Road Glide standard? No radio, no speakers, bare bones. That would have been that might be the ace in the hole they might be holding back. If somebody can go pick up that bike, a 107 for like $17,000, $18,000, $19,000, which they probably can't. I mean, you can anyway now if you just get a used one, but come on, dude, that would be the fucking
I don't know why they came out with the Street Glide standard when people like the sales of Street Glides did this and the sales of Road Glides did that, and then they came out with Street Glide standard. It didn't make sense, but nothing Harley does make sense.
Yeah, unless they were trying to like capitalize on the people that couldn't quite spend the $27K or $22,000 for the other version, and or 23 or 5, I don't know what it is, and then it was like, oh well, I can at least still have a bagger for this. You know, I get it. You know, you don't want to. The Road Glide's kind of the king shit right now, so it's whatever. But I do agree with you. The adventure bikes, I would totally get into that if I could build myself up to where I'm a little bit insecure in the fact that I feel like if I'm not riding bikes and doing this shit with you guys all day, then I'm not relevant. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So,
but that's because you work at your whole world is bikes. You work in it. You're in. You know, you have your bike night. Like everything around you is bikes.
Yeah. And so with as much as I would love to have one, I would feel like I was kind of cheating.
You're like cheating on your girlfriend by riding it. Yeah.
You know, because I would be sitting here pandering money to get money from this group that I'm no longer really interested in as far as being a part of it. I'm interested in your money and your work, but not you as like, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's a lot of shops, you know, everywhere. But that's just not how that's the reason I have so much passion for this is because I'm actually doing it with everybody. Like I'll sell you a helmet and then we'll ride together at Sturgis. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, but like, it's gotta be tough for you because like, I was just thinking about it now, like your whole world is bikes. You're financially, you're making money. Everything is bikes. Like for me, bikes is my escape. So where's your escape outside bikes? There is no escape.
Video games.
Is that it?
Like anything, like it has to be, it's kind of like for me to escape the shit on this, it has to be something that is kind of like a short term I won't get too deep into, but completely it takes my head off of, okay, I don't need to see what's going on online. I don't need to do this. And it's also like, you know, I can be extra, you know, my opinions can be very strong. I could be a lot of things that are probably not the best for me. But it's because I'm so fucking dialed into all this shit. You know, I take it.
And I guess even at the end of the day, motorcycles is still your escape because even though you work in it and everything, when you get on, I was listening, I think the last podcast you did with Big Lance. Yeah. And you were saying on one of your rides that you were just on the highway, middle of nowhere. You're looking around, you're like, it doesn't get any better than this.
Yeah,
and
I posted that picture
feeling
today. On my if you get offline, I posted that picture today on my stories in a cornfield. Going like, wow, this is the most amazing feeling right now. And I was in a place nobody wants to go ride to. Yeah.
And I know that exact, like you said that. And that was like my favorite part of the podcast because there's so many times you're sitting on your bike and it's not a twisty road. It's like you're sitting there, you're just cruising and you look around and you're like, this is what life is about. Like, this is the best feeling. This road is beautiful. The scenery is beautiful. You're at such peace. Like there's no greater escape than that feeling right there. And I know that feeling too well. That's why we ride. And every time I get that feeling, I think to myself, this is why we do this. This is why we ride, for this experience, for this feeling. So like these guys who build these bikes but don't ride them cross country and take it. And it's hard to get that feeling when you're going out for a 4 or 5 hour ride. You need to be somewhere in the middle of nowhere, see a road you've never seen in your life.
Yeah,
and just like that Forrest Gump thing, like you always say, like that feeling, you look and you see, I've been on roads and you look and it's water and you can't tell where the sky is, you know, the sky and the water meet.
Exactly.
Like I've seen that in real life and it's like, it's just the most beautiful thing ever. And that's why we ride.
That's exactly why I ride. And, you know, and yeah, man, it's a very hard thing to articulate. At least I've had a hard time doing it. And, to get people to get that experience. And the easiest thing I've been able to find is to get people to like go to the Campout for wherever you're at. Just get your boys together, ride, go do it, and have a good time. But yeah, like you said, man, it's I deal with a lot. Like I get really in my head sometimes because I invest so much of my life into this, and sometimes I get a little bit I get a little bit, kind of bitch made, I guess. I don't really like it. I don't like when I get like this, and I try to avoid being around social media or doing podcasts, but there's a lot of things that go into validation, you know what I mean? And like you talk to someone like Curtis Hoffman, who's been funneling his resources, his idea into helping prop up the performance bagger thing. You see like other guys that's been around since the beginning, before I was ever in it, before you were in it, that kind of helped pave the way. And then you see it blow up, and like no kind of appreciation for anybody that really.
But I don't think like, because Curtis. Maybe because Curtis financially, his life is this is his life.
Yeah.
Does he, and Curtis, he's such a good guy and he's become a good friend, but the mind's always going. Like, I don't know if he stands back and he appreciates, like, he's so worried, not worried, but he's like so concerned with business in general.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like Curtis, like, you are the guy. Everybody runs your parts. You were like one of the top 5 things that you need to have on your performance baggers, one of your carbon fiber parts.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, you are there. Like, appreciate it. Take a step back. Take a trip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go for a good ride. Like, enjoy what you've accomplished. But he's constantly chasing the next thing.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, because now as you're saying that and articulating that, I feel the same way. It's like, I know a lot of painters or people, I'm not really known for building bikes, but the bikes that I have done, I get it. There's probably a lot of people that would love to have done that or built that, could say they did this, say they paint that, and I get it. And it's really hard to, when you're in this position of, I don't want to say you're chasing fame. I've always looked at it like I'm chasing success, in a sense where as long as
it's not fame, it's success. Yeah. It's also, it's like you're chasing peace. You're chasing when do you get, I can tell you, for me in my own personal life, like, I say the goal is not to be stressed anymore.
Yeah.
So as an artist, as somebody who makes parts, like, you're chasing peace.
Yeah.
No?
I agree.
I cut you off.
I would say that, yeah, like, I would think, every year and every accomplishment, or every time you reach that marker that you set to be success for yourself, by the time you get there, your life is different enough to where there's already a new marker, right? So
of course,
it's like this perpetual thing that you're constantly chasing the next level, which associated with a video game, if you want. And I think that the closest thing to get the kind of freedom, but yet still be artistically creative, but yet still get to do what I love doing the most, which is riding bikes, is to focus on the things that I can optimize the most financial profitability from, which is technically helmets and maybe one day this podcast, right? And which should free me up enough to where I could take that lifelong idea, at least in the last couple of years, to ride Europe and Africa and South America and all these crazy places I would love to say I did, and I'm kind of late in life getting there, at least. And
no, you're young. You're 37.
37 and going on 38. And I look at it like, okay, well, just as much as this Corona hit us out of left field, anything can hit me at any point in time in my career and take me off a bike, whether it's an actual
life
wreck.
Is fucking short. Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't like to live my life in a sense of, I can just go do that next year. Like, it's literally killing me that the New York thing's going off the table for the reasons I already stated earlier. And it goes against everything. When I say, like, my original shop was Live Fast Customs and this new Fast Life thing that we started, after that one. It's not about like some flashy couple words together that sound good with racing. It's about how you live your life, and it has nothing to do with fucking paint, but that's me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a strange one, man. And, but when you are ingrained in this and your livelihood is on it, it's sometimes it's very hard not to get, emotionally attached to things that take place in the industry. And it's, like I said, it's a bitch made mentality to get into, which I try my best to not do it and get in my head. You know what I mean? But I'm human.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. So, like, That's what I'm saying. You have a different perspective. Curtis has a different perspective than the regular guy. Like, because the rest of us are just, getting on the bikes and we're getting away and, going to rallies because we see all our friends and we hang out. And this is our escape. For you guys, this is work. This is life. All of this is life.
Truth be told, like my escape, we haven't done it in a while, but it was going to the bike night. It was, or it is going to see you guys and spending time with you. Mm-hmm. But sometimes
I think
that's
also my biggest disappointment. Sorry, I'm cutting you off. But my biggest disappointment about rallies being cut off this summer is not seeing everybody.
Yeah.
Because I want to be able to ride, but I want to be able to ride and see all the guys I've become friends with across North America.
Yeah.
I'll see guys from the, East Coast and West Coast and South North, and we're all coming together at these rallies. But now I probably won't see these people for another year from now.
Yeah, it sucks.
Like if Sturgis is canceled too, we may not see any of these people. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I get what you're saying, man. It does kind of like put salt on the wound a little bit. You know what I mean?
sorry to remind you. Yeah, but it's true.
I don't know, man. I forgot what I was saying though. But yeah, what I was kind of getting at is it gets really hard sometimes, and I hate to sound like woe is me in this situation, but I've had issues in the past where my friend Mark from Texas Performance said you always got to be watch out when you're a shop or you're an industry guy and you start being friends with a lot of people who are not industry people because they don't understand. They don't understand why you're this way, why you can't hook them up, why this, why that. And sometimes, as I go to bike nights and they, people will come there. And like I said, I hate talking like this, but it'll be some random dude that shows up. He's like, oh, fuck, dude, Jace, that's you? You know what I mean? And all the dudes I know normally like this fucking nerd over here, but I get it. Like someone listens to this podcast and they dig it and they come up and they, it's like, I'm just a normal dude, but I'm in the industry. And I think that sometimes there's this expectation for people that aren't like in the industry that might just be hanging out or potential customers that they see the normalcy in me and then they expect the normalcy when it comes to doing work and pricing and just many other aspects of like the relationship between me as a bike rider, a painter, an occasional worker on a bike or whatever the case may be. It gets really tough sometimes to play that role because I just want to go ride bikes with friends and talk shit, drink beer, have a good time. But when it comes to talking about bikes or paint jobs or certain things in the industry, everybody could see what's going on online. Like something can happen with Big Bear or with Jeff Holt or with FXR Division, and I literally have these dudes' numbers to be like, hey, dude, you good? Oh, yeah, man. They'll give me the whole spiel. And these guys at the other side of the table are getting all their information from social media posts, right?
Yeah.
So there's just like I'm connected to what a lot of people see online and follow. I'm connected in a much different way, and it kind of makes it a little different, I have a different perspective of what's going on as well too, which kind of I've gotten to I wouldn't say arguments with people at bike nights about shit, but just
I mean, you always say that you're like that you like to argue and that you're a bit hot-headed, but it doesn't show it doesn't show on the podcast. It doesn't show in all the times we find out. I've never seen it. I think when you're drinking, maybe it's a different story from what I understand. But no, I mean, we all have our shit. But I hear what you're saying about all that. Like, the grass is always greener at the end of the day for everybody. So you make your living in an industry that all of us wish we were in. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that. And I'm sure you wouldn't have it any other way. I get it. We all want to be there, but it's never as glamorous as it looks to be.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean?
It's kind of like you get honey dick throughout your whole career, right? You get into this industry thinking like, man, I could be the next Jesse James, right? Or the next whoever is on that top tier pedestal. And it's
without
always
the scandal, right?
Huh? Yeah.
Jesse without the scandals?
Yeah, without the scandals. Just the Jesse respect that everybody still has for him, regardless of how many times he fucks up. But you have these people on this pedestal, and like sometimes like the industry, like I've never I've never altered my business, closed the shop, left the shop, made a decision based on money. It's never been a money thing. I have made consistent money since the day I started painting and working on bikes. But what has happened is I've had to learn how to deal with customers and people in a way that sometimes I gave up on the customers and like, I can't fucking deal with these fucking people anymore and their expectations and their disregard for the fact that I'm a human and I only can do so much in a time. You know what I mean? And so I've like decided to shut my shop down in the past for that reason. But it's never been a financial thing, and
but you're I don't want to say lucky because it's not lucky, but you're fortunate to be in the position where you are now because you've made it this far, and you're fortunate to be in a position where you can pick and choose your customer and your work. Yeah,
that's a level of success that at 20 years old I didn't know that that's where I wanted to be, but through the years of learning that I had a big shop with service and bike sales and bike builds and partners and $1 million company, and it sucked. It was horrible. And I've also
stressful as fuck. You don't sleep.
I also left that, walked away with nothing, and built another shop and had opportunities to do the same thing again until I realized that, happiness is small business, controlling your environment more, not having to answer to as many people, blah, blah, blah. But what I was kind of getting at a while ago is like there's this like honey dicking thing that takes place where just when things get so stressed out and you're ready to walk away from the industry, you get these little breaks, these little like pieces of things that happen to you that make you keep putting more into it. Like back in the day, it might have been like finally a call from a magazine like, hey, we saw that bike you did, or we want to shoot that bike you just finished, or hey, do you have any bikes coming out? And then it might be an invite to SEMA, or then it might be an overload of people wanting to do business with you through social media. It's like all these little things that keep you going down the path, or that at least have done it for me and kept me in the industry, because I've wanted to leave it many times. As a biker, though, staying in love with motorcycles for 16 years now, I've had to change bikes. I've had to exhaust everything I could do on that bike fun and find a new one to give me that same feeling again. You know what I mean?
But it's worked. I mean, at least you're also not the guy who says, I love this bike just because. You've been on sport bikes, you've been on different style of Harleys, but you can't say, well, I love this bike just because it is what it is. Like you have the experience on different bikes, which is, most of us Harley guys can't even say that. Can't say we started on sport bikes. Most of us Harley guys might have picked up a Harley from day one. Yeah. And why is Harley the best? Because it is. Like, I hate when people like, the answer is, well, Harley's best. Well, Harley as a brand, I could appreciate you loving your Harley. I won't ride anything but a Harley. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's the best. I didn't put $50,000 worth of parts into my bike because Harley is best. No, it's shitty. I made it the best. It's still 3 times more expensive than something I could have got.
It's all about who can make the best of a shitty situation is what's holding.
Well, that's it. We're all holding. It's like we're all in a battered relationship with Harley.
Yeah.
They put out something that's mediocre. It's like being in a relationship with a really hot girl.
Yeah.
Who's the worst.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we're all in a relationship with Harley, but even though Harley just beats us up all the time and they keep raising their prices and they keep putting out a mediocre product but charging a premium, like it's a luxury product. But
that's
there's no luxury.
That's a good analogy, man. Like seeing another dude on a badass Harley, he's like, man, I bet he gets blowjobs all the time.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
And then you get one, you're like, dude, what's up? Where's all the blowjobs?
Yeah. It's like there's no blowjobs and my bike isn't great. It's shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's it. We're all in our battered relationship with Harley, but we love our bikes, but at least you've tried the different bikes. And we're open enough to say that we're willing to try other bikes and willing to ride other bikes. Yeah. I do love my Harley.
Yeah, I do have a hard time like changing brands. Like, but here's the deal: like when I talk about like I would run a BMW adventure bike or something like that, it's like it's not a competing brand with a Harley Davidson in a sense. You know what I mean? Maybe now I guess because of the Pan America.
Did you see the new adventure bike, the Harley?
Yeah, I'm not on board.
I kind of liked it.
There's so many things that like. The BMW, the KTM, all these bikes have so much technology in it that I would be first off, if that technology was available through the Pan America, I would be like, yo, dude, like, what's up? How come the Road Glide doesn't have the same technology, but all the same components? You know what I mean? But
but then if the Road Glide was water cooled and didn't have the same sound, would you care?
I wouldn't like want the Road Glide to be the adventure bike. I want them to be separate. Now, when the adventure bike finally comes out, which I thought it was already supposed to by now, if it does come out soon and it's a great bike and it is a viable option for us Harley riders that are interested in adventure bikes to switch over to it, icing on the cake, 100%.
I heard November it's coming out, and I heard the prices are going to be the same as the BMW.
So about the 18 to 26 range?
Yeah, I don't know what it is there compared to here, but that's what I'm told. The question is it's tough because the BMW is kind of like, that's the industry standard.
Exactly.
But if you compare it to the KTM, it's less money and more performance. Because it's a KTM, it doesn't have the clout of the BMW. Mm-hmm. So then Harley is saying, okay, well, we're going to match the standard. Uh-huh. So they have to put out a product that's really good right off the bat, or it's just going to be a flop. No? Because they won't get the diehard Harley guys jumping on the adventure bike because it's not a Harley.
Well, also,
the rest of us.
Just like when you buy a Harley, you buy into a culture. When you buy a BMW adventure bike, you buy into a worldwide network of people and support and things like that. That Harley, like when you think of all the really cool Harley shops all over the world, are they going to be ready to take on adventure bikes that are traveling, doing the Pan America Trail that they named this after and doing all this shit? Like when you go to Colombia, are you going to be able to get your Pan America serviced, or are you just going to be able to get a T-shirt with like Pablo Escobar on it or some shit? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's building a network of support system for these bikes to do what adventure bikes do. You know what I mean? And that's my question, on top of like the actual technology that will hopefully be available on this bike. The BMW I started following like a couple of BMW pages before I bought my current bike. I weighed buying an FXR. Pop's Garage had an FXR RD for sale for $8,600. I had $8,000. I could find the other $600, but I had $8,000. They had $8,600 for this, and then I was literally looking at the dealership because the new Road Glides just came out, the 2019s. It was September.
With that chin spoiler.
That chin spoiler was out, and I was like, I want that. And then I was really looking at the BMWs, like I really would want to do that. You know what I mean? But it was just, when it comes down to it, the fortunate thing for me is everything I love to do helps make my brand, the Fast Life Garage, better. I love photography. The work that I do gets a better camera to take pictures of it. I love, riding bikes. Well, guess what? I do that on the bikes that, help sell the helmets and the paint jobs that I do. Everything I like to do, every hobby of mine turns into another
And it's
branch.
A lifestyle. It's all lifestyle. It's like, okay, you get rid of your Harley. Does that mean you lose all your friends because you've met so many friends through bikes? And like this, the last year, the people we've met in the last year, wouldn't know any of them if it wasn't for this brand and this style of bikes.
Dude, since I switched from, the big wheel world and I kind of crossed over into the Dyna culture and started riding these bikes and meeting the people, like my life has been so great because I've been in a world full of people that weren't on a financial standard of trying to be cool. They were just like wanted to ride bikes. Like it felt like a much better crowd to be a part of, and
nobody's trying to be cool. Like
I'm trying to be cool. Start wearing Vans.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
Like but like none of us are like, you get a big group of us. Nobody's trying to be cooler than the next guy. We're all into bikes.
Yeah.
That's it. Nobody's trying to be something they're not. Like we're all just trying to ride and hang out. The guys who aren't riding, well, they're not hanging with us anyways because they're not going to ride.
Exactly.
And the guys who do ride aren't going to be intimidated to come up to us at shows or talk to us at shows because anybody can ride with me. You see me at a show, you want to ride. Say,
we're going
hey,
here
let's go
next.
ride.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's that's the cool part about it. I like to see people getting out more, and I think that like what Thrashing is doing with like Big Lance and the 2-lane life thing. Like it's that's something I've been saying a long time on this podcast is like, you know, instead of like, you know, all the stunt riders out there that do this, I'm sorry, but I'm not your biggest fans. Like as far as like, I think what you do is cool, but I think that anybody can hop on a bike and go travel on it and get a really fulfilling experience out of a motorcycle. Not everybody's going to be able to buy a bike and rip a wheelie and get that kind of feeling that they're watching on Instagram happen. So
no, it's like the stunt bike thing. They're not riding.
yeah,
You know what I mean? They're not going across it. It's like skating. It's like being a skateboarder. It's like, you know, it's like a BMX guy. Like that's the equivalent of that. It's like an X game kind of thing.
There's a funny take to that because the guy that's been working with me doing the apprenticeship, he goes by Lot Lizard, and we did a podcast with him that was just a video one. And he was telling me that he just completely switched over to Harleys. He has a Bagger, he has a Dyna, he sold all his sport bikes, stunt bikes. And since he started hanging around the Harley guys, he's saying like these guys don't ride. They only ride the bars.
Harley guys?
Yeah. But in comparison, though, his deal is like these sport bike guys would jump on bikes, they'd meet at a gas station, and they would ride all over the fucking place, doing wheelies, hauling ass, whatever the case may be. It was much more of a thrill to ride those bikes and do all kinds of crazy shit. Us Harley guys, a lot of times, especially around town, like we're point A to point B kind of guys, you know? Like if you hit me up, like here in Dallas Fort Worth, I know you're not super familiar with it, but like we kind of have the loop system, like, you know, highways north, south, east,
The highway
and west.
goes around.
And then we have a loop that goes around the whole city.
Yeah.
A couple of them actually. So it's like, all right, you guys want to go hit the loop? I'm like, that sounds fucking awful. Like I've ridden so much that kind of like bullshit riding, if you will. Like I'm not so into bikes that I just got to ride to the gas station. You know what I mean? To me, I get my riding kicks. It's like if you're like really addicted to like super kinds of porn and like regular porn just don't do it for you. I'm past regular porn riding. I need to get some hardcore shit, get on the road, go see places. I need to not come home tonight.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's
No, I couldn't agree with you. I don't keep my motorcycle at my house. My bike is at my shop.
Yeah.
And every single mile on my motorcycle is a ride. I don't use it to commute. I put 0 mileage for commute. So if I'm going to get on the bike, like, you know, somebody will say, oh, let's go for a quick ride in an hour or 2 hours. Like I can't get anywhere in 2 hours. Like 2 hours might seem like a lot to somebody, but I'm not going anywhere in 2 hours. You know, for me to have any decent ride, I have to get about an hour out of town to get to a good road. And then I want an hour, you know, something there. Like, so I totally, I hear what you're saying. Like, I guess the guy who works for you, like maybe he just needs other guys to ride with.
Yeah.
Guys who really ride.
Yeah. Well, you know, and I told him, I was like, well, here's the deal. Like when it comes to like shit locally, like just, hey, we're going out tonight. I'm probably going to do the same shit. You know what I mean? Like no fault to the guys he rides with a lot. But to me, like I like to put all my eggs in the basket of like, hey, well, let's just leave here Friday after work. Let's go ride down to Austin. We'll find a place to crash. I got a bunch of friends down there. We'll find a place to crash. And let's wake up. Let's see what's going on. Maybe we'll just stay in Austin and roll around, or maybe we'll go hit San Antonio or the Hill Country or do something else. You know what I mean? Like I like that kind of shit. Like where I want to go see my friends, like we've been talking about. I want to go hang out with friends that I don't get to see much. And right now that's fucking a dude down the street. You know what I mean? But I dig that more. Like it's just different. You know, like I don't want to take anybody's like enthusiasm away if there are like, fuck, I just want to ride it everywhere. Cause I was that guy in 2004 when I got my first bike and it was snowing outside the day I picked it up. I rode it in the parking lot. I wanted to ride this bike. I didn't give a fuck, you know?
Well, I do feel that, like, you come here, you have winter. I have that feeling now. Like, I just want to get on my bike and ride. Like, this stuff, what's going on now, I don't even know if I'm allowed to be riding my bike. I think I could ride my bike, but I have to be alone. Me and the homies,
me and a couple friends, we went and met up in Dallas yesterday and rode streets and highways off and on some nice little spots and just to ride, just to get, you know, out. We probably had at least 5 different times cops behind us, cops next to us at stoplights. They didn't give 2 fucks about us being out on the bike.
Were the roads busy or were they quiet?
Busy.
Really?
Some places it was kind of dead. But for the most part there was plenty of traffic. We stopped at a Dickey's barbecue pit and grabbed some food out of there and sat in the parking lot and ate it on our bikes. Cops drove by, didn't give two shits.
Yeah, you can't do that here. The cops are giving tickets for people like gathering.
Yeah, but it was only
Like,
3 of us, so we were
fine.
6 feet apart.
Yeah, I guess if you're standing far apart, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't been outside enough in the last few weeks to even know.
It's a fucking
Like
shit show.
literally not going outside at all.
Well, hey, we got to wrap this up. It's almost fucking
Yeah.
4 hours.
Yeah, fuck. I gotta go to bed.
Yeah, I need to go home and go to bed. All right,
I
Daniel,
gotta get up for nothing tomorrow.
thank you again, sir. It's always good talking to you.
Take care, Jay.
Are you gonna be doing some of your Facebook or Instagram live shit soon? You were talking about.
I was gonna do it, and then I get lazy or I forget, and I just didn't do it. And everybody's doing it. You did it. Jeff is doing it. A whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
So I'd like to do it with Kyle, and he could show us the bike build.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But I don't think he's going to want to get that in depth until it's ready. But yeah, I might do some of that. And bike trips for me this year, I don't know if there's going to be any.
Yeah.
So, if people want to send me pictures of their bikes and to post them, send me cool pictures and I'll post it. If I don't post it, don't get mad at me.
Yeah.
All right. I got to say.
You're the gatekeeper. Make sure you change that model to the one you said. I like that.
Yeah, I'll definitely consider it. All right, man.
Thanks,
Nice
buddy.
talking to you.
We'll talk to you later, buddy.
Take care.
Yeah. Whoa, that was a good time. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. It's really nice during this pandemic to be able to sit down and have conversations. So, I feel very fortunate to be able to do that with great guys like Daniel. You guys check out his page and also check out our sponsors, Dream Rise John on Instagram and teamdreamrise.com, Paint Huffer Metal Flake on Instagram and painthuffer.com with Fast Life 13 for 10% off. ShopTmax.com and ThunderMax EFI on Instagram and Lexan Moto on Instagram and Lexan-Moto.com. Fast Life for 15% off. Hope you guys are still pulling through and digging all this shit that we're trying to put out there. And, thank you. I appreciate it. We'll see you guys, whatever, what the fuck. We'll see you guys next week again with another podcast. So thank you and good night. Peace.